Hey,
Oh, hey man, what's up?
what's up?
Yeah,
Nothing much here.
let me turn you down a little bit actually. 1 second.
Sure.
Cool. Welcome. Ooh. Good timing. I just hit a global, so you brought me good luck.
Oh, congrats, man.
Thanks. So how you been?
Been pretty good. Just doing a bunch of skilling, It's been like the story for the past year or so.
Yeah, I hear you. So I don't know much about you. Is that good now, Fire? Thanks. Sorry, he was complaining the music was a little loud. But yeah, so I don't know much about you. How long have you been in the game?
Uh, so I actually played this game a tiny bit, way back when it was Project Entropia, and I must have been like, I don't know, like 12 or something back then, because I don't remember. I barely remember anything about the game. Um, I played it because my brother and a few like of his friends were playing, and I didn't really do much interesting. Like mostly just sweat a few mobs or like shoot like peonies.
Yeah.
But basically, I came back to the game around basically around 11 months from now, and yeah, I basically just came back to my avatar completely wiped. So I'd say like I'm playing less than a year currently.
Wow, that's insane.
Yeah.
Like you've made substantial progress. I think you kind of shot up out of nowhere. Um,
Uh, yeah. I mean, like killing
so
mobs make a pretty big difference.
so did you have like any sort of like hidden knowledge from back then when you used to play, or did you just come back and
No.
have to research it? So
This game's like completely brand new to me. Like everything's just different now.
yeah,
I remember back then, like if you like shot a gun and you missed, like you would lose the ammo and stuff like that. And there wasn't like this like F spam interact stuff.
yeah,
Um, and it was just one planet back then. It was just Entropia.
right. Um, so why the name Yuzuki? Like, is that because I saw Kairi in your name? Did you play Kingdom Hearts?
Okay, so yeah, so okay, so my name Yuzuki, it's basically been my game handle for like as young as like when I started playing Counter-Strike, and like you needed like an online name, so I just came up with the name Yasuki with an S. But
Hmm.
like the more I played games, like because it had the name or it had the word SUK in it, like I would randomly get like warned by like the name filter or whatever, so I just changed it to a Z.
Oh,
So
gotcha.
it's
Okay.
always been Yazuki, and yeah, because my creativity sucks, and you need like a full like three names for Entropia, like a first name, last name, nickname.
Yeah.
I just put Kairi just because of Kingdom Hearts.
Nice.
Yeah, you're right.
Awesome. That's great. I love that game. That's cool to hear. I mean, like you're talking to the worst person about naming their character. I mean, I literally just put like VandalHand. You know, so I mean,
Yeah, yeah,
so it could be worse.
sure.
So, wait, Esposito says you're not Captain Jack. What? So, welcome, Esposito.
That's
Um,
just giving me shit.
yeah, I think it's a rumor that's been going around that you were an alt or something. Which I mean, it's not unheard of, right? So,
Yeah, man. I've actually had like a few people like just accuse me of being an alt, and most of the people are just like joking about it, but there's been some like pretty toxic people that are
like tinfoil
just
hat
like,
people. Yeah.
yeah, they're just like like for no reason they just like start shit with me,
Wow.
and
Has
I
that been
think
your
it's just
biggest
because
challenge
they
so
think
far,
I'm
you
an
think?
alt. Sorry, was that?
Has it been like your biggest challenge so far, you think?
Oh no, not at all. I'm like very used to dealing with toxic people or like just like people like online
Yeah.
just like starting shit, so it doesn't affect me at all. It's more like funny rather than like challenging to deal with,
I
because
gotcha.
like like at the end of the day, like everyone's just playing a video game. It's like why does it matter what other people are doing? Like
Right.
even if I wasn't alt, like it doesn't really affect you, right?
Right. That's a good way to approach it, I think. And I think Debug asked a pretty good question, which ties into one that I had prepared, which was like, if you could go back in time to when you started, which I guess isn't that long ago. I mean, this might be a little bit more impactful for like someone who's been here for 10 years or something. But what's a piece of advice that you would give your previous self?
Um, piece of advice that I would give myself, like just are you talking about just starting this game fresh?
Yeah, like something that you know now that you didn't know then that would have benefited you. You know what I mean?
Oh, okay. So, I mean, this is just from the perspective of someone who has the end goal of like being a top hunter, right? So I don't know if this applies to like people in general, but if I were to give myself a piece of advice from the start, it would be to basically ignore every single mob in the game that does not give good skills and just focus on looter skills. Because one of the biggest I guess regrets I had when I started playing around I'd say like around like 3 or 4 months into the game, I hit my first level 100 profession, and then I moved on to try hunting Molochs, and those mobs are known for being one of the worst scaling mobs in the game, like possible.
Yeah.
Almost.
Yeah.
And basically, I had like level 50 looter or something like that, and I hunted them for like a month or two, pretty hardcore, and I lost so much money with zero like loot or skills to show for it. So if I had to do everything over again, I would not touch Molochs until I was 100 looter or
So
like
just
90 plus.
Power level looter, streamline it, and don't worry
Yeah,
about anything
yeah,
else.
because if you think about it, like if you're spending like I don't know, like if you're losing like 10 to 20k ped just from your looter level like lacking like from 50 to 100, and even if you were to like loot like a Titan piece, right, you're still down money. Like, so what exactly is the point if you're losing money and you're also not gaining skills at the same time?
Right.
You're just throwing money away, and you're trying to gamble for multiple drops. Like, even if I were to get a drop or two, I still would have been down money. So
Right.
it just
Wow.
doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah. Yeah, I tried my hand at Moloch as well for a while, and I was underwhelmed. I mean, like, yeah, there's a little bit of market that lives there with the, components for Mission Galactica, but it's just so, like, the percentages are just so low. Like, you're never gonna make, your TT loss back.
Yeah,
So.
of course this is under the context of no events happening, right?
Right.
Like during Twine right now, you have the chance of looting the dagger, the Unity dagger. So of course there's a chance. So it's worth it right now. But like
right. And
off
two of those
event
have drops right now, correct? Or
yeah.
Esposito and Lunchbox, I think.
Helena or Launchbox, I can't remember who.
Okay. I can't keep up with it, man, to be honest. And you got a twin drop too, didn't you?
Yeah. Funny story about that one.
People were calling hacks, man. I gotta be honest.
Okay, so people were like tinfoiling that I knew the exact like time that the sword would drop, but honestly, I mean, if you check my history, I was that month I was hunting mech recruits a ton, and I lost like 50k ped like hunting mech recruits, and then I stopped hunting mech recruits because I noticed two Unity weapons dropped on every single planet, but there was 0 drops on Tulan or Monterey or whatever that planet's called. Yeah. So I mean, obviously, like the logical choice is to go hunt on the planet with no drops, right? Yeah. So I mean, I got lucky, of course. Like I got it my first day or two hunting there. Yeah. But like people were saying like, oh, this dude just stopped hunting flesh rippers, went right to Tulan, got a drop, and then came back to flesh rippers. But like, what do you want me to do if I with the weapon that I need skills for, right? Of course I'm gonna go skill up for sword.
That came up a few streams ago, actually. I can't remember who brought it up, but it was like, I was like, you're not gonna be mad if it was me that did it, right? That I've been around, I'm well known, or I'm known, whereas you got someone who no one knows, who is you know, like we said earlier, there's like a rumor that you're like an alt and all this kind of stuff, and it's just like, I think like people like to, I don't know, get jealous if you haven't put in your, you know, your time, you know.
Yeah, I would say there's definitely a lot of people like looking at what I do and like, basically just judging every action I take.
Yeah.
Trying to find like reasons to figure out like why I'm doing something, or they're trying to like find ways to like accuse me of being like a secret MA employee or
Oh yeah.
something like that. It,
That's another one that I heard. Yeah.
there's a lot of theories.
So do you work for Mind Art? No, I'm joking. I'm joking. But
I
no.
mean,
So
yeah.
Helv, I believe that's Andrew in the game. He says that he loves how transparent that you've been with keeping a running hunting log and making your progress public. It's been really insightful and shows everyone what can be done if you're motivated enough. And it's certainly a nice change from the usual negativity on the forum. So.
Yeah, so when I created that thread, the main goal I had was to just basically be as transparent as possible and basically just talk through every single thought process I had
Yeah.
with the game without any outside influence mainly. Like
Right.
I listen to people's like advice or their tips or stuff like that, but I would always do my own research and then like question whether or not their information is valid or not.
Right.
I've never blindly followed anyone, and I think I think the main the benefit of this is that like because this game's like always changing, right? There's a lot of people who are pretty stubborn that I've noticed, mainly like being stuck in Loot 1.0 still.
Yeah.
That just don't want to adapt to change, right?
Right.
So the main goal I had was to basically just give everyone like an idea of like what can you do if you just follow your own research and figure things on your own, right? Um, I think the biggest help to me was just going through like the history of the forums, the Discord, checking Entropia Wiki, and just reading everything in the past and finding out information that way rather than asking people for help. Because when you ask people for help, right, everyone has their own
Opinion.
opinion, interpretation of how Loot 2.0 works, like their own theories about how loot works in this game.
Yep.
And at the end of the day, like, it's really hard to trust people's information when there's real money involved and as well as like emotions, right? Like,
True.
if you're like running really bad in this game, but you have the best gear in the game, like, you're probably pretty salty, right? So you're gonna form your own opinions of like why you're doing bad or something.
Right.
But like, what if you're just having a really dry spell and like it could change at any moment? Like it doesn't like your opinion and like your feelings, they don't really matter like in this like system, right? Like it's all like a numbers thing, right? You just have to like keep. I mean, people say it all the time, but you just have to keep shooting, right? So everything averages out.
Right.
So I mean, yeah, that's.
No, I agree with that, and I really agreed to your point where, you know, human emotion and also just like the way that another person can interpret it, while it might not be inherently wrong, you now have to worry about possible alternate agendas in play, that they might be gatekeeping information or leading you incorrectly intentionally.
Yeah.
Especially when no one knows you and they have no reason to trust you. Because that's been a big thing too. Because I remember when I was skilling, you know, they were like, you have to hit like 250 HP or something and do all that before we let you in the sock or whatever. And it wasn't until after I hit that mark and got in and had paid God knows how much money doing the bad mob thing that you've already talked about, that they told me about the HP and level ratio, like hidden buff for skill gain. And I was like, well, that'd have been good, you know. 100,000 petago, you know. But
Yeah. So that HP level ratio thingy, um, that was something that I read about in like a random thread because I was like googling like best ways to skill up in this game and all that stuff, and
Right.
there was a few threads on the how skilling works and like the kill event where their HP to level ratio matters a lot, and this was one of the first things that I tested out in the like first month or two of playing. Because I started in June, like a week or two before migration started.
Okay.
So a lot of my early skilling was hitting long tooths, and you know those mobs aren't like very great at skilling. They have like a ton of HP. So I didn't really focus on skilling in the beginning because I wasn't aware of well, I was aware of like how much looter levels mattered, but I wasn't aware that HP level ratios mattered so much for leveling it up.
Yeah,
And
it's like night and day difference, man. I mean, it's better than running a skill pill.
yeah, it definitely is. So for around 2 months, I was hunting long tooths, trying to get the weapon drop, and then once I actually went over and tried flesh rippers, and I was gaining like 1 to 2 levels a day versus like one level every like 5 to 6 days.
Right. Yeah.
That's when I realized, okay, I'm just wasting my time not doing skilling mobs, right? So
Yeah.
that's when I started really focusing on skilling.
So I know that we had talked about briefly that you would have pushed looter without anything else. Do you think that, or have you looked into doing tree cutting as like an early player, or like was that something you ever fooled around doing? Because you can get analysis with like tree harvesting.
Yeah, so I definitely did see a lot of recommendations for tree cutting. I personally have never tried it out, but if it's true that you can get all these useful skills like analysis or other rare looter skills that you can't normally get, I think it's definitely a really smart idea for a new player or someone who is looking to efficiently skill up like cost wise. Yeah, I think that's a really good idea to try tree cutting out.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I've done it a few times, and I found it to be beneficial. I mean, you do lose a little bit of your TT cycle, but it's not too bad. And now with the nanocube change, I think you can actually recycle the wood shavings as well, which is unexpected but cool. Because other residues you can't. But I'm getting off topic. Okay, so going back to the actual questions here. I wrote down this one. I like this one. So if Mindark's listening, what's one thing that you would tell them that you want them to hear?
If Monarch was listening,
Yeah, your colleagues, So
yeah. Let me think about this.
we can come back to it. This one took Boohoo a while as well when I asked him.
Yeah, if we could come back to that one.
Okay. Well, actually, I think it was the next one. So what's been your biggest regret so far? I think this one was the one that took Boo a while.
Biggest regret so far
In the game, not like life. We don't want to go too deep here.
I mean the Moloch one was a pretty big one.
Yeah.
Let's see. I can't really say I've like played enough to like really have this one like regret moment like stand out,
Right.
so to say.
Makes sense.
Yeah, other than the Moloch thing, I can't really say I've regretted much of my choices so far.
I gotcha. I mean that makes sense. Not being in here long enough. Have you been scammed yet, or have you ever had like a like I say like yet, like it's going to happen, but you know what I mean, like have you ever had like a scam or anything like that, like someone who was shady encounter?
Oh, there's definitely been some shady people, but I've been very careful with how I do trades. Like every time like someone tries to offer me an item or give me a value of something, I always do my own research. So I can't really say I've been scammed, but I've definitely had people been shady and tried to like, like borrow my items or whatever. Um, I think before I joined Endgame, I was in like two smaller societies that I just randomly joined, and there was always like people like whispering me because I had an LP40 perfected back then, and there was always people like asking if they could borrow it, and like saying they're like trustworthy people or stuff like this, but
Yeah.
I never risked it, so
Yeah. Now that you're in game, you feel like you're kind of safe with those guys.
oh yeah, for sure. Like
That's good.
I trust all these guys. I
They're
think they're all great people.
I've had great interactions with all of them. Um, I've not interacted much though with a couple, but the ones that I have are really outstanding people. Um, I think you're in a good group. Do you see yourself like being there forever? You think?
Yeah, I mean, I don't really have any reason to want to leave,
True.
and everyone's been great so far, so.
That's good. Do you have like any other plans, like, or is it just hunting?
You talking about in just like
Yeah, just like
in
in
trophy in
Entropia, like,
general?
do you want to break out and like do beautician work, or do you want to become like the next PvP thing, or what?
So currently, I'm super focused on just avatar progression. So everything I'm doing is just for progression. But currently, the main focus is just um one, just trying to maximize my chances of looting items, and then after Twan is over, I have plans of getting into mining and construction, purely just for the
The
HP.
skills, yeah.
Yeah, just the skills.
Yeah.
Um, I personally don't like. I don't care at all about total skill level, but I do care a lot about HP. So like whatever is able to help me get more HP, I'm gonna try to do.
No, that makes sense. So, I got a question here that came into chat. Ina asks it. He says, now with you being a fairly high level player, I think he says that he knows that you've been a competitive League of Legends player before. How does that compare? How does EU compare to that? From what I know, League of Legends is fast paced. Not having played it myself, I guess EU, even if you do bigger mobs, must feel like a vacation for you.
Oh, yeah, I would say they're like completely different games. Like I think like when you're playing competitive League of Legends, it's like a very I guess like it's like high stress environment in that you are always 100% focused on the game, right?
Right.
In EU, you can literally just watch a movie and just press one key like every few seconds, every minute or whatever. But in like League of Legends, you're like you're I don't know if you're familiar with the game, but I
I've,
guess for
I've
other people in
probably
chat.
played it like for 10 hours or so, like maybe.
Okay,
So,
yeah. So I guess for the people in chat who aren't familiar, it's like a 5v5 team-based game, and the really important thing about competitive is that you have to constantly communicate with your team about like every single um thing that's happening, right? And there's like there's a lot of like mental stress that comes with um doing that for over like 10 hours a day. When I was playing competitive league, I think like at the peak I was putting in like I don't know like 16 18 hours a day. And when you're trying to like play at 100% for that long, it gets like really tiring, right?
yeah, no, I can imagine,
So
man. That's crazy.
yeah, I mean I can't really compare the two games, to be honest. Like they're just completely different. Um, but yeah, that's kind of like where the whole like toxicity thing, and like how I really could care less if people were toxic to me in this game. Because there is a lot of toxic people in that game.
Yeah,
So
yeah. I think I actually didn't know about the LOL stuff
oh
prior
yeah,
to Tina mentioning it. So that makes sense now because like I've played a lot of PvP stuff, like first person shooters and stuff, especially Rust. So you kind of get a thick skin. for the fan
Mm.
mail. So it's it makes
Yeah,
sense now. So
I like generally don't go around telling people that I used to play competitively, but it's like the information's out there, so
yeah, I mean especially now. So
yeah, of course.
but yeah, no, that's cool. I mean like any competitive game, regardless of any game played at the competitive level, I think like you said, it can kind of it can degrade, your health if you let it, and like for me when I was doing, competitive PvP even in this game, it got to me eventually, like it caught up with me. So
Yeah, like even like nowadays, I can't really play those kind of games where you have to like right click your mouse a ton to move around because I've been having like some wrist pain just from playing for so many hours. So I
yeah,
think like Entropy is like the perfect game. It's just like stress free outside of your ped card. Like it's not very physically or mentally taxing. It's just like a chill game.
definitely. So has the twin pull been the best loot you've got so far?
Yeah. So the last month I got the twin sword, and then during Mayhem I pulled the BC80.
Oh nice.
So those have been by far the best uh items I guess that I've looted or pulled.
Are you profitable so far?
Are we counting like avatar skills in this equation or just like
I mean, sure.
in
I mean,
general?
that's I think viable. If you, I'm surprised you even had those metrics in front of you. If you do, but it wouldn't surprise me based off of your track record so far with tracking everything. But yeah, we
I
can.
don't have the exact pet value, but if I were to like just take into account that my avatar exists, right, and
Yeah,
there's like a price on it or there's any demand for it just because of the skills on it,
right.
I would say that I'm quite up in profits.
That's good.
Yeah.
No, I think that's really cool, and I think like I've talked to other people that are as well, and it's kind of like you find your niche, or you just like you said maybe push looter, and then go from there, or like rely on events like Mayhem and things. Do you like, or were you even around before the rework of Mayhem actually?
No.
Okay,
Um, I've read about it, but I think that happened like around 3 years ago or something.
has it really been that long already? Jesus, man, I feel old now.
Maybe 2 or 3 years ago. I'm not 100%.
Gotcha. So, and I know you've been hitting it pretty hard, like with the whole skilling and everything. So, what's something that you've done to maybe manage not burning out? Because I know a lot of people that if they went through what you've gone through so far, they would have they would have gone mad or insane.
So I have a really weird personality when it comes to games. When I play a game, I I usually either don't care for it or I'm like 1,000% invested in like trying to become like the best at it or stuff like that. So in my current like mindset, like I'm still really focused on trying to be the top hunter in Entropia, and I think like just like the motivation like alone, it really helps me from preventing burnout. Um, I mean, I'm not gonna lie when I say like I'm freaking bored as hell, like killing on flush rippers every single day, right? For the past almost year now.
Yeah.
It is definitely not exciting or anything, but what is exciting is that I'm seeing my avatar progress and like making so much progress that I'm catching up to people that have been playing since like launch, like when the game came out. That's definitely been a huge motivating factor for me, and I think just setting goals for yourself really helps with preventing burnout. And
Yeah.
yeah, I'm a very goal oriented person when it comes to these like long grinds. Like as long as I'm seeing progress, like I think I'm pretty happy with everything.
I got you. I mean, that's reasonable too. I mean, like setting goals is a big one because if it's just open-ended, you know, it's kind of like, well, you know, what now? You kind of get into that rut where you don't have motivation, right? But it sounds like you
Yeah.
don't have that issue. Do you set
Um,
like weekly goals, or how frequently are your goals that you set?
Honestly, I couldn't tell you because one of my goals since I started the game was 100% looter, like level 100 looter, right? So
Right.
that's still happening.
You're
But
not
then
there
I
yet.
have like no. If we're just talking about animal looter, I'm about to hit 100, like
Okay.
probably tomorrow.
Nice.
Tomorrow or the next day. But mutant and robot looters still have a ton of work to do.
Right.
Um, but yeah, I wouldn't really say I have like monthly goals or daily, weekly, or anything like that. I sort of just set goals for like whatever I think is like obtainable, and then just work towards it. Um, yeah,
Yeah. I mean, that's nice. I mean, I don't know. I kind of hit like some of my big goals as well, so I kind of got burned out. And I've been known to take like breaks, and I think a lot of people do. Um,
yeah,
so do you
yeah,
foresee
for
that
sure.
coming, like at all?
Oh yeah, oh I definitely see that coming. One of the things is that when I set my mind to something like being like at the top of like a certain game or something, like once I like reach those goals, I get bored very easily. I think that is probably gonna happen with Entropia, but I don't know when it'll happen. But I do plan on playing this game for a pretty long time because it's not really a game where you kind of have to like constantly play, right?
Right.
So
True. It's very passive. Like you can have Netflix on. You know, for me, working from home affords me a lot of opportunities to play during the day as well.
hmm
I might even put on my macro or something if I'm right next to my personal machine. You know,
yeah.
because sometimes I need my hands for filling out tickets or whatever. But yeah, it's cool stuff, man. Um, I think it's also very unique to other games. So, has there been anything that you've encountered so far in the game that you actually enjoyed that you didn't foresee enjoying? Like something you've been exposed
Um,
to so far?
I guess I could say like the social aspect of Entropia where um when I went into this game, right, I didn't really have any plans or like any expectations for like meeting people or making friends, right? But because of how this game's an RCE, like real cash economy game, like there's a lot more like emotional investment in this game, right? From
Right.
people. There's like a lot more on on the table, and I think because of that reason, there's a lot more like I guess like emotions from people that you can sort of feel out. And I think you can like form really good connections with people who are like like a similar thought process to you or whatever.
Right.
And I'd say like the people that I've met in Endgame, um, I'm really happy that I've met them. It's definitely not something that I expected, but it's definitely a pleasant surprise. Definitely coming into this game.
Yeah, I really agree with that. I've met a lot of really solid friends that I think will be lifelong friendships, from this game. Um, and like you said, I think like it's a very social environment. So that's awesome, man.
Yeah, for sure. I'm real happy that I met them because like before that I was very I've been very careful with who I guess talk to and be more open to with in this game just because like I'm like this random person coming into this game and I'm like investing a ton of money and that definitely sometimes attracts the wrong people who like want to take advantage of that fact
Oh yeah.
because I've heard a few stories about like people who came into this game with a lot of money and then they got taken advantage of and then they like stopped playing because of that.
Yeah.
um I've been pretty careful with uh just the fact like if I get a feeling or like a read that someone is trying to reach out to me because they have like a hidden agenda or something like ulterior motive, like I try to keep my distance. Like I'm still friendly with people, but
Right.
I just try to keep arm's length from them.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that also kind of resonates with me as well, because I've always had, well, not always, but for a long time I've had really good gear, and it's kind of hard because I'm not really good with recognizing it early on, like why you're being friendly with me, you know, or something. I just think like people are just friendly, like hi, how's it going, you know, but like you find out a little bit too late they were just using you for that item, and then once it's gone, they're no longer around, and you're like, oh, you know. So I definitely see where you're coming from with that one.
I've definitely had a lot of experiences with that one in the past, mainly with League of Legends, where I don't know if I can't think of any other term besides like clout chasing or whatever people say nowadays, where they just want to talk to you because you're like well known in the community or the scene or whatever. I'm just not a fan of those kind of people.
Definitely, man. Yeah, it's kind of scummy, but I mean, you know, it is what it is. So
yeah, it's there's always gonna be people like that.
Right.
So.
But I think it's important that you know everything can be learned from, you know, and then you can also kind of incorporate it in how you move forward. You know, it's all a learning process. So.
For sure.
So you had mentioned that you've been into construction a little bit for the skills. Have you tried mining at all yet, or not really?
I have not.
It's
if I go to if I open my skill window, I go to mining. My total skill points in mining category is 37, and I think those 37 points were from the tutorial, where you have to drop ropes or whatever.
Okay, all right.
So yeah, it's definitely something I plan on doing after T1.
Okay, I mean it's cool. It's something that can wait, I guess. But there's I think there's a mining mission over on over on Cyrene, so maybe between the flesh rippers you can work in a few probes. So.
Oh yeah, that's a good call out.
But no, it's cool, man. I've done it before, but I find it very boring and dry. At least like outside the lootable zones, and then like that's a little bit more engaging because I can come across somebody, you know. But
yeah, I'm looking forward to it mainly just as like a change of scenery, like a change of pace. But I can definitely see how it can get boring.
Yeah, for sure, man. Bam Bam says move to Alabama to get closer to Vandal for clout chasing. But yeah, that's awesome, man. So any other games that you used to play or still play on the side, other than the LOL stuff?
Oh, I played in the past I played a ton of games. I guess like the big name games that I played a lot were World of Warcraft and Path of Exile. I think are the two big ones.
I love Path of Exile, man. Did you play the Crucible this time?
I haven't. It's been a bit of time before since I've like played it, or I've been like really invested in it. I played a ton when the game was like in open beta, and there was I don't know if you played back then, but there was no like seasons or leagues or whatever back then. It was just hardcore and soft or standard or softcore or whatever.
That's before my time, but yeah.
One of the really sad things about that was that I was playing on hardcore and I died at like rank 7 on the ladder. And back then, I mean, back then the gear was like worth a ton of money. Like if you know what the Calm's Heart is, that armor used to be worth a ton of money. And then like, it's sad that I died with all that gear, and then it's like it's suddenly worthless because like the price difference between hardcore and softcore back then was a huge difference.
Wow.
But I basically died to reflect. I had a lightning arrow build,
Gotcha.
and I just like I one shot myself because I played hardcore, but I wasn't like those like really tanky builds, right? I was basically glass cannon because
Yeah.
I couldn't play the game any other way.
Wow.
So
Wow.
real sad about that, but
At
yeah,
least it wasn't
Path of
just some
Exile
like
was...
lag or something. I've seen
Oh
so many
yeah,
like
definitely.
so
There was I don't know if you're familiar with the out of sync command, but
oh no, I'm not.
we all had this macro that would type like slash like OOS or whatever like every like couple seconds because your client would desync from the actual game servers like really often. So you would like teleport around or get stuck on walls.
Oh wow.
But yeah, a ton of people back then died to DCs or desync.
Wow. That's cool that you had like the backup macro or whatever just in case maybe. So
Yeah.
that's crazy, man. But no, I've never had that happen to me. Luckily, that was. I mean, I've lost a couple maps, but that was about it. I never play hardcore.
Oh
that's pretty
man,
cool.
that okay. Hardcore, crazy adrenaline rush. Like playing hardcore, like, and anytime you have like a real close like death experience, like just because of like how much like was on the line back
Yeah.
then because of how expensive items were, that was probably like one of the best like moments in gaming for me, to be honest.
Yeah,
Definitely a great time.
that's awesome, man. I might have to give it
Yeah.
a shot now.
I would say it's pretty fun, like especially with friends.
Right. But no, that's awesome. So like any FPS games or just normally like the kind of top-down stuff, because that's a commonality that I'm kind of picking up on here.
FPS games. I played a ton as a kid. Mostly Counter-Strike, 1.5, 1.6, Source, and then I played a bunch of Call of Duty on the what was the console back then? I don't even remember. I played a bunch of Call of Duty 4 and 3, I think, and also Gears of War.
Oh,
I don't know
nice.
is that considered FPS?
I guess I've never played Gears of
Yeah.
War actually. That was a Xbox thing, and I was a
Oh.
Sony kid, so.
Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah, I played that. I also played Halo, if that's also FPS.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, back then I was super into FPS games, but nowadays I'm more like into RPGs or those you know, like top-down ARPG stuff.
Nice, man. Yeah, I think I kind of let go of some of those like higher octane, faster paced ones, and I've kind of relaxed in my older age now, you know, and
Oh yeah, for sure. Like
so.
I've tried playing a bit of Apex,
Oh yeah,
but
man, dude, I get my
it's
ass
just
kicked on Apex. Like,
it's just too much effort for me. I'm just like I'd rather just play something else nowadays.
yeah, yeah.
It's getting
No,
old.
for sure, man.
Boomer.
Yeah, I can feel my reflexes slowing down, you know. So, any thoughts about like investments, like where you're going with like your gear direction, or like any particular type of weaponry you're looking to get into?
So I haven't really talked about it much, but a few people already know. So the moment I picked up the BC80 pole, I saw that there was someone else selling a mod nano, right? So I basically traded the BC80 and PED for the mod nano. So right now I'm just scaling up to use a mod nano.
Okay.
Before that I was using the perfected chip, but that didn't really
The
it wasn't
electric one
really
from
like
the Mayhem vendor.
yeah
Okay.
that one. And it like it's probably my favorite weapon, but it didn't really strike me as like an end goal weapon, right? It was more of like a placeholder, so to say.
Yeah.
And I think with the mod nano, I'm very happy with my current I guess gear progression. And there's like some very like minor upgrades I could make, like if I really wanted to.
Just
I was
min max, yeah.
Yeah, just a min max. I was talking to Boo a little bit about this, but I was thinking like super end game where I'm like 500 plus HP. I'm thinking of like transitioning possibly to either the perfected Imperium or the one protector armor,
Yeah,
just to have the crit damage, right? Because when
totally.
you're like when you're at this like high level with like crazy amounts of max HP and evader and having like this much DPS to lifesteal, like you don't really care about your armor, so to say.
Right.
You're more worried about DPS and just having as much output as possible for events and stuff like that.
I think that makes sense.
Um,
I mean, like when they first put in the Imperium armor, I sold my supremacy to go
mhm.
after mod Imperium. Only made it to Imp before they locked down the NPCs and then they reworked it. But I was still happy with the Imp, dude. Like the blue set.
Yeah, yeah. I think for any like mid-level early-ish hunters out there, I would say Imp Imperium is like hands down the best armor you could get. Like just cost to benefit ratio.
Definitely.
Um, I can't think of any armor that's better than Imp Imperium for mid-level hunters.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, Lordon, thank you for the raid. Welcome everyone. Still using Mod Viceroy? I mean, that's awesome too. I mean, Mod Viceroy, I think I did the numbers. So the DPP increase that you would get from the focus blow or whatever it's called now, crit chance for the Mod Viceroy, the DPP increase is better to get that versus the 15 CDI from the Imperium if you're not already maxing out your focus blow. So Mod Viceroy is still viable, and it might also be improved upon later. So
Oh yeah, yeah. Me personally, I've never actually taken much of a look at Viceroy, just because of
Soulbound,
yeah, the
yeah,
soulbound aspect. Because I know it's gonna be a stepping stone armor for me, and I definitely would have outgrown it.
yeah,
But yeah, that if if what you're saying is true, it definitely sounds like a solid armor for people who plan to hunt at that level for a very long time.
yeah, definitely. So I'm assuming no for this, but like did you have like a mentor or did you just come in and say no, I'm not gonna have a mentor?
I had a mentor for a very short period of time. It was actually debug.
Okay.
I was going through the mentor list and I just like sorted it by like the highest rating or like people that graduated.
Yeah.
So he mentored me for it was like a week or so.
Yeah.
When I was super brand new to the game and I just had no idea what I was doing. But that was a pretty short time. But I would say most of my information I just researched myself from the forums and the Wikipedia.
Yeah, no, that's cool. I had a very similar experience when I was the mentor for Pablo in or Container Conrad.
Uh-huh.
Um, he blitzed through it, man. I mean, it was over with before it even began, dude. You know, so I was kind of in a similar situation. So technically yes, but I know what it's like to like you just kind of came in and just did your own thing. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, that's cool though that he was able to help out. And Debug seems like a good guy. So, hey,
Oh yeah,
Celebi,
he's definitely a
welcome.
great guy.
Yeah, no worries if you guys are late tuning in. If you're okay with this, Yuki, we'll put this up later as well on the VOD channel.
Yeah, that
Just
works for me.
okay. I just wanted to ask as well, but yeah, but cool, man. So, any plans in the future for like land area ownership, or maybe going after some of these like NFT stuff if that continues?
Um, Personally, I haven't had any plans for any of that stuff. But if we're talking about like just owning stuff in the game, I think potentially I'd be looking at owning a what are they called now? Like Pathfinders or the Echoists?
Yeah.
stuff like that. Just like the personal ships they can warp around in.
The Firebirds from
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, stuff like that. I think that's definitely something I'd be interested in, but I don't have any interest in land areas or stuff that I would have to like upkeep or constantly monitor or I'm super lazy when it comes to that kind of stuff, so it's definitely not for me.
Yeah, no, I hear you, man. It always seemed like a lot of work when I looked at it as well. So that was one thing that kept me out of it. And then like I've also thought about, or I had thought about doing like spaceships, like actual like instead of just like a personal one like you're talking about,
Oh,
but
like
like
the motherships and
yeah, like
stuff.
running a warp service. But that just it's so much work, man. Like
Yeah, that's definitely
it
not
would
something
it would tie me
I
down
would
too, I
like.
think. So
Because for me, I always like when I want to do something, I want to like set aside time to like do it for a few hours. But if you're doing like a warp service and you're like constantly being interrupted and stuff like that, it's just too much of a hassle for me.
right. Yeah, no, it makes sense, and plus I like to do what I want to do when I'm online too. So it's like, if it had, like at a bad time, I'd be like not making any money. I would lose clients, man. So
Yeah, like if you have warp service, right? You kind of need to be reliable. Otherwise, they're just gonna go hit up someone else who's like more reliable than you.
right, and I mean
Since
if it
there's like so
takes
many.
yeah if it takes you longer to get to me and warp me, then it would be for me just to fly myself. Then like what's the point, you know? So
Yeah, I think what JPK does is pretty smart, where he sells those warp passes for very cheap, like what, like 5 pet a warp or something, but you buy a bunch at a time and they're scheduled warps, so that he knows exactly when he needs to warp people.
yeah,
Um, I think that's a very smart way of doing it.
definitely. I've also heard about some people getting it cleared with MindArc to have a shared account or like a pilot account, which I think was pretty smart too. So
Oh,
like let's say
I've
that you had like
actually
5 people that own like co-ownership
mm,
or something, they all share that account.
okay. I actually didn't know about that. That that was the thing.
It's been only like a few people that I've seen with one. Like I think they had one for what was it? Soldiers of Fortune had one, I think, for that ship at one point. The like
Okay,
Strashing people, like shareholders, could like log into, but they got it all cleared in like a support case with MindArc. So,
that's interesting.
but yeah, actually on that topic, and Tina just asked as well, how about space skilling for like HP? Have you done that?
Oh, are we talking about repairing or like piloting?
I think he's. I would say that it's probably piloting.
Oh, I haven't really given that any thought, but I think that would tie in with wanting to own my own ship like eventually one day.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
Especially if you
I'm
went
not
for
I'm not too
something.
familiar with um space skilling, to be honest.
It's pretty good. I did that when I was pushing for one of my HP goals. I even chipped it in. So it's pretty good ratios. It's like I don't think it's as good as Commando, obviously. That's like the big bad one, but I think it's like 1 per 600 points or something of spacecraft captain. I want to
Oh,
say.
that's pretty good.
I would have to
Yeah,
verify it on the wiki though.
it's definitely something I need to take a look into.
Yeah, man, for sure. So with the mod nano now in hand, and you're working on skilling that, do you foresee yourself ever like? I know there's been talks around it, like not having good TT return, but would you ever like foresee yourself maybe having to pivot from that in the future?
Um, just from like the numbers I ran,
Mm-hmm.
I think the only issue I have with the mod nano is the um the amount of overkill you do on mobs with it really limits the what you can hunt.
Yeah,
That's the only downside I can see with the mod nano. And of course also being melee is a huge pain point.
yeah,
Um but with people who say they have like poor TT returns with it, I mean you're not really gonna have any better TT returns with any other weapon because it it has what like 86 or something efficiency. It's one of the highest efficiency, highest DPS weapons in the game, and a lot of these other alternatives, you're probably gonna have like the same exact TT returns. So I don't really foresee pivoting unless a similar efficiency, similar DPS gun were to come out in the future.
Right.
But as of now, I'm very happy with the purchase, and I'm really looking forward to the HP that being melee is gonna give.
Yeah, man, that's one of the big ones that I've enjoyed. From my experience using melee weapons, has been the passive HP gains. It's night and day compared to, any ranged option.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, man, I think that you're approaching it well, and especially running the numbers. And I think also people can kind of have that fallacy in their head because they've never had like a big end game weapon, and then they think like, oh, I'm just gonna get this thing and immediately start duplicating my ped. That's not how it happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not how it works.
Yeah,
So
so
work, right?
like unless Minarch lied about the Loot 2.0 dev notes and how efficiency works, right? I think you're very easily able to figure out the differences in your TT return between different guns, right? So like just for me personally speaking, I really like to compare things and just like calculate the differences, and I use that as like my main like source of information of like what weapons or like what upgrades to gear that I make. I base it off those calculations.
Gotcha. That's really sound. I mean, like, really, it's awesome to hear. I mean, like, it sounds like you've done a lot of research and a lot of reading, and you're very meticulous in how you approach things. So that's refreshing. It really is, especially in this community when there's a lot of incorrect assumptions and stuff going around. So
Yeah,
it's definitely a breath of fresh air, man.
I definitely try my best to not have emotions affect my decisions. But I mean, of course, it's still hard. But like, when you're like for example, having a downswing, um, there's always the bigger picture, right? Like, if you're having a downswing in like a week or two window, like if you look at your bigger picture and you're like exactly where you are expected to be on average return, or you're even above where you're expected to be, right? A lot of people don't take that into account. So I mean, I don't know if you read the forums, but there's like people on the forums who sometimes complain about like 50% TT returns or like 80% TT returns, and you just really need to ask yourself like, are you playing the game to gamble? Like, are you playing for slots, or are you playing to, like actually play the game, right?
Right.
A lot of that like mentality, to me personally, is just like the gambling like slot machine mentality, where people are playing outside their bankroll, and they're like, like hunting, like one hunting session is their entire bankroll.
Yeah.
And then they ask like on the forums like, am I being scammed by Monarch? Like, why are my TT returns so bad?
Yeah.
But you had like there's been like situations where on Flush Rippers even, where I'm getting like 20,000 kills and my TT returns at 80%. But if I look at the month or like the quarterly like averages, I'm still like where I'm expected to be. But when you have people that are hunting like 100 mobs, like 100 kills, and then their TT returns are bad, like you have to hunt so much more to see your average, right?
Right.
So it's definitely really important in this game to think about it like from like a
like a
it's like a
holistic.
map. Yeah. Like you can't let emotions like control like how you play this game, or you're just gonna like lose a shit ton of money, right?
Yeah. And I think too, people can kind of like focus on the wrong thing and like compare themselves with other people. And I think that's also a pitfall. Sure. Like I love the Hoff board, that's awesome. But like people like The amount of times I hear people complain or like, oh, there was just that and I missed it. You know, they get all downtrodden because of that, or like they want to be the top, you know, half or whatever, all-time high.
Yeah,
They're willing to
yeah,
do anything. They bet their house, you know, to get it basically. It's
yeah.
very,
It's just the
very scary.
those people I feel really bad for in
Yeah.
that they're so like they're like basically in this like rabbit hole, or I don't know if it's a rabbit hole, but they're like in this like huge like hole that they like pretty much can't climb out of ever unless they hit like an all-time high or something.
Yeah.
Like they're always like trying to get like reach that next like half or whatever. It's just like really sad to think about, and that's like where Monarch makes a lot of their money. It's just from those people,
Yeah.
which really sucks. But like you can't really do much about it because they're so zoned in on it that they're not gonna listen to anyone like talk about it.
Yeah.
Another thing that I've really noticed is that when people look at Hoffs or like rare loots and stuff like that, they don't really think about what the person went through to get those items most of the time. They
Right.
just look at that and like say like you get a like a Hoff for like 30k ped, but you're hunting like these huge mobs that cost like 50, 100 ped to kill. Like you don't really think about how much money they could potentially be down, right?
Definitely, man.
And a lot of people see a 30k Hoff and they're like, oh, this dude just profited 30k ped, he's so lucky. But then if you check at his like TT returns, he's probably like down 30k or more ped. Like
Yeah.
every time I look at that stuff, I don't really, I mean, I'm happy for the person, but I don't really view it as them making that much money or whatever. It's just their returns are averaging out for
Right.
me.
Yeah, no, for sure. Um, and I think that again, like you said, people just make incorrect assumptions, you know, and it's easy to get jealous and things. Thanks for the follow, Vampire. But yeah, it's just it's a little easy for that to kind of happen, you know, where you get locked into that jealousy or something, or especially heaven forbid you hoff next to someone. Oh my God, the rants that they can get on, man, you know. So
Yeah,
um,
I think the most common one is like when someone like loots a rare item next to you, and then you just assume that they stole it from you.
yeah,
Basically,
yeah,
I hear that one a lot.
yeah, because it's like shared or something, or yeah, it's.
Hmm.
Do you find yourself actually avoiding shared loot mobs for that reason, or do you just say screw it, I'm gonna hunt what I
I
want
mean,
to hunt?
me personally, I don't really care if it's shared or not. But just like the mobs that I'm hunting, they just happen to not be shared. Like
Gotcha.
the ones that I want to hunt or the ones that I have reason to hunt currently,
Yeah.
just aren't shared. So I mean, if I get an item in shared, or if I don't get an item, you know, like stuff happens. I'm not gonna, I'm not gonna, or I'm gonna try to not let it affect me,
Right.
so to say.
Yeah, definitely. I've been on the biggest Sand King so far. I got like 14k from it, but it was all shrapnel. But I've also been on one where there was a full TT ESI looted. And it's actually on stream. It was on, I think, Ord's stream, and he was the one that looted it. And I got peck back, man. Like from shooting a tier 10 M83 the whole way through it. So that was pretty
Damn.
rough. Not even a full ped, dude. It was rough. But
Yeah, that
part
can
of it, you
definitely
know?
be tilting.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, yeah, what can you do about it, right? Like,
Yeah. Because that's the thing, like, people are always going to complain or find a reason because they'll be like, oh, that noob didn't deserve it, or, oh, it went to the Ubers as always. You know, it's like, what?
oh yeah, that's definitely one thing I see a ton. It's always the people who they complain that the Ubers who are like spending like or cycling like millions of pet a month are getting all the items because they're hunting the highest level mobs with the best level gear, right? But then they say it's like a conspiracy that all these Ubers are like secret MA employees or stuff like that. But then like the other day, like we saw a 500k all-time high, right?
Yeah.
And it was from some like new avatar that barely plays. So that's the exact opposite
Are you talking
spectrum.
about the Deathbringer?
No, the a few days ago there was a 500k shrapnel craft.
Oh, I must have missed that one. I must have been offline.
Oh, yeah, so basically what happened was that it was a new
But what the fuck?
oh, you
Olga
just saw it?
Crypta Hoff? Yeah. What the hell?
Yeah. Yeah, so that guy barely did crafting before. He had like 9k ped global like in crafting
Wow.
like ever.
Yeah.
And so now people are complaining that like all these like random accounts are getting all-time highs,
So
and it's
Kitty says he
the
isn't new, by the way.
oh,
I don't know.
but I say new as in like
New to
he
crafting?
yeah, or like low level, like low spending.
Yeah.
And it's the exact opposite spectrum of Uber's like getting all the items. But then we still
Yeah.
have people who are upset with this, and they're saying like, oh, he's probably a MA employee's alt account or something like that, right?
Yeah.
Like he probably got fed the ped for publicity or stuff like that. And I mean, I'm not saying that it couldn't happen, but like
Yeah.
people always have their theories, or they're upset no matter what, like what happens, like who gets the item. Like it could be like an Uber, it could be a new player, like people will have their reasons like why the person didn't deserve it or something like that.
Yeah, definitely, man. So, do you keep up with chat channels? Like, do you have like a trade chat open all the time? Like, what's your setup when it comes to like what chats you monitor in the game?
Oh, I basically have two channels. Trade channel, and then the space travel channel just for like warp information.
Gotcha.
But yeah, most of the time I'm just looking at I'm looking at the trade channel, or I'm just browsing the forums for like possible items.
Gotcha. Do you actively watch your skill gains roll in? Or do you like to set it, not look at it, and then see your progress at like the end of the day?
I try not to look at it because it's you're just like watching paint dry at that point.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, I try to avoid it if I can.
Gotcha. Do you have the little progress slider open or no?
I do.
You do? Okay.
Yeah, I like to see like the daily progress still.
Gotcha. Okay, but not the skills in like the chat. Gotcha.
No, of course I have that hidden. I have that all hidden.
Wow. Okay.
Like I don't want to see a like you have gained 0.00001 XP in
Yeah.
one skill or whatever. I just like I'm good.
Yeah. I gotcha. So what's one of the more crazier theories that you've come across hearing as like a newer player in this environment, or like the craziest thing you've heard someone try to pass as like advice, maybe?
Oh man, I don't know. I feel like there's so many crazy theories that it just becomes a blur at this point. Like the theories on how TT return works, or like globals work, rare items work, like these theory. I mean, I've heard theories about like you need to make sure people in your proximity are like lower level than you or stuff like that. Otherwise, they're gonna get all the items and you aren't, or stuff like you shouldn't hunt specific mobs unless there's multiple people hunting on them to like
Yeah,
inject like pet into that
because
mob's
it's gonna
loot
be like
pool.
a, yeah, the loot pool of that
Yeah,
mob. Yeah, yeah, I've heard that one a lot.
yeah. I mean, I'm not saying these theories are wrong or anything. It's just like they're definitely out there. Um, I mean mostly just because like I'm trying to think of it from like a like developer standpoint. Like if you were to code like how items drops work, right? Like I mean, just from my limited experience of Minarch, like I don't really give them much credit for like their development, just because like every mayhem, it's the same exact thing, but there's
Yeah,
always like issues with it, right?
yeah,
And there there's always these minor issues, like they can't put a rare item flag on the perfected ship. Like it's been like multiple years since it's been out, and it still doesn't trigger a off if you pull the item. So there's like all these minor things that happen. Oh, and I don't know if you were familiar with the whole like Cyrene pristine element drama that happened recently.
no, I didn't hear about this, but You can
So
enlighten me.
basically, Monarch screwed up and they were adjusting the loot tables because the Golem Pristine element wasn't dropping for a very long time.
Yeah.
So they adjusted it, and what happened was that I think like 12 Golem Pristine elements dropped in a row to one avatar
Holy
in like
smokes.
a 30-minute window. And also other Pristines also were dropping like crazy. And
Wow.
so this definitely doesn't give Monarch much credit to their like development team or whoever's in charge of the loot system.
Q&A or the
Yeah, the
quality assurance.
Q&A. Like
Quality assurance. Yeah, QA.
yeah,
But
so
like,
like when people
sorry, go ahead.
okay, yeah. So when people have these crazy theories about like how your avatar proximity to other characters plays into loot or all these other crazy theories, I'm just trying to think like how on earth is Monarch coding that when they can't even like properly update a drop table, right?
Right.
So a lot of these like theories don't really make sense to me.
Right. Yeah, no, I agree with that. And to that point about like stuff like dropping in quick succession like that after an update, I mean, I've seen that happen. There was that guy on Toulon that had been running the new instances over there, and I think it was the that yellow armor. What's that called?
Lotus
Lotus.
armor?
Yes, thank you.
Oh yeah.
With the cold protection, like he got almost 2 full sets. I
Yeah,
think it was like
I
13 of the 14 parts, and they had like stacked up, you know, and then all of a sudden the gates
uh
were released.
yeah, I looked that up as well
Yeah, it was
because that
pretty
was like
crazy.
another instance of Monarch messing up somehow.
Yeah,
So it's either they have zero clue how the system works, or there's just like people like fumbling like with adding the items to the drop table. I don't know. My my hopes aren't too high with their development team.
do you think that they're going to have a better environment with the engine update, or do you think it's just going to be same old, same old?
Oh yeah, I think for sure there's gonna be a better environment just because like of my limited experience touching legacy code. Like
Yeah,
it it can be a huge headache just navigating code that you're either unfamiliar with or there's like no documentation or prior knowledge of how it works. So I think if they're updating it to Unreal, I think everything is going to be a lot easier for them to develop.
you know, I agree with that. I think they've also had quite a bit of people. There's been a lot of hands in the pot, so to speak, when it comes to like how many people have worked on the games. There's no telling like, you know, how much stuff is just kind of there, and they're, you know, they might not even know what it does. It's just there, you know.
Yeah, I
So
think that definitely, for me at least, would explain a lot about how these rare item blunders even happen in the first place. It's just because there's like so much like spaghetti code or code they don't understand in the system that they're like touching.
right, yeah, definitely. Would you ever consider taking a job at Mindark if offered in the future?
Oh, definitely not. I think just like mainly because I'm familiar with how when you mix your like hobbies or like stuff that you do for fun with work, it
Yeah,
can like ruin the fun aspect for you. That's kind of what happened with League of Legends, where it became a job and like it was just something that I burned out doing, and just
yeah,
no longer became fun.
yeah,
So
definitely.
I would want to avoid doing that. And also, I don't know if Monarch employees are even allowed to play the game or
They're,
not.
you know, they're not. Yeah.
So yeah, I wouldn't want to go from playing the game to touching like whatever spaghetti 20-year-old game engine they're working with over there.
I mean, it's interesting. I mean, I thought about it for a while. I'd be like, yeah, I could do so much good. You know, on the other side, you always think that. But then it's
Yeah.
like, I don't want to stop playing. You know, and also, like, your point about, like, it would become, you know, dull and like, mundane, and you
Uh-huh.
wouldn't enjoy it.
And basically like all these things you're working on, right? You probably aren't even allowed to talk about it with other people, right?
Oh
So.
yeah, no, you're under an NDA because I went to Mindark HQ,
Oh, okay.
before version 16. Me and Tina were actually there together, and we tested out the new HUD system, and we had to sign an NDA that we couldn't say anything about what we saw there until it was released. Of course, now that it's implemented in the game, I can talk openly about the experience and everything, but it was fun. But
That's awesome.
also Tina was asking if you're single. He's a guy, by the way, but he's asking for someone else who's too shy to ask it herself.
Yeah, I'm single.
All right. Well, there's your answer. We're keeping that one in the video too.
All right. Oh, one other thing I wanted to talk about with uh in relation to the spaghetti code, the loot waves. So I had this theory that Monarch, if they were given a chance to, they would change the loot wave system, but they can't because they have no idea how it works, and there's so much like old code that they don't know how to navigate that they're probably just waiting until Unreal Engine to change it. Because I mean, like, there's so much like outspoken like
Yeah.
negativity about the loot waves and how everyone doesn't like it, right? But
Well, it's
like,
just so predictable, right?
yeah, of course, and like Monarch has, I feel like they've done nothing to really address it. I heard it was a lot worse back then, but like they still exist to this day, and it's very obvious that they exist.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, I can't think of any other like logical reason other than they have no idea how to fix it currently,
Well,
other than a complete like revamp.
well, I do agree to a certain extent, on them not being maybe familiar with how to fix it, or it's just like you said, legacy code that they don't want to get into or can't. But I believe that you also have to look at it is that it can't be a gambling game. Like they have
Yeah, of
restrictions,
course,
so it has to
of
be
course.
a skill-based game. And when they say that, that means like you have to be able to be perceptive enough to know when to go hunt that thing and when the wave is active, and then that's where the skill comes in, right? Is that
Hmm.
you can then say clearly and prove it to those who need to know that it's not a gambling game. Like, hey, yes, you can predict it and you can work it out, and if you stick to it and track it, you can do like mining mapping. You can map the whole place, like the whole planet,
Yeah,
you know, with mining and everything else, and then you can start timing the mining waves if you really want to do that. But yeah, I mean, it's not just with hunting, but I think like that gives them that out. That might be a reason to consider.
that's definitely a good point that I didn't really think much about.
Yeah, because they've had a lot of scrutiny before, with the whole gambling stuff. There's actually a pretty cool interview out there on YouTube that a guy did where he actually questioned Mindark. I
Oh,
forget
is
who it
that
was.
is that the one where I think the Monarch CEO or whatever it was
Yeah.
saying that like riding a bike is like a gamble in life or something?
Yeah, yeah, dude. It Man, they continuously just don't do well in interviews, man. Like it's really bad.
That was a good one. That was a good interview.
Yeah, I mean, I liked it. The guy had some really good questions. I just think that the Mind Art guy could have done a better job about addressing some of them.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But like, also they have to be careful about what they say and how they say it. So I know that they can't say certain things, right? So
Uh-huh.
they have to be really conscious of that. Because I had offered to have something like this with a Mindark employee on stream, or with Mindark represented, to have like a Q&A with them. I thought that would be awesome, but never heard back. So I was
Hmm.
like, I can even give you a list of pre-approved questions. You can, you know, fly it past your legal department, whatever. They're like, nothing. So, but
Yeah.
they did that interview with Mai. I think Mai had interviewed them internally, which was pretty cool. So, at least it's something.
For sure.
But yeah, no, the new community managers too are cool. Have you met any of them? Have you had good interactions with the community managers so far for the Planet Partners?
Uh, could you name a few?
So we have Zephyrus now with Arcadia.
Uh-huh.
I believe we have Cersei with Next Island, who's now replacing Socrates after he moved on. And then I think there's one for Octopia, or maybe that's just new development. We have Osiris. Mai is the community manager for Mindark as well. Osiris is the bug fixer on RT, yeah. So any of those names stick out to you? Or maybe even like Jonna or DME or anything like that? Oh, Osiris is on next on, sorry, okay.
So I haven't really been to any of those planets, but Sarin for sure. I've had some interactions with Shauna.
Okay.
I think she's been great. Like, just with I don't know if it's a female or a male,
No
but
idea, to be honest. I think
Shauna
it's a woman,
Shauna's.
though.
I think she does a really good job of communicating with us and also taking feedback into account and also
Yeah.
escalating it to the team or whatever. So I'm really a big fan of Shauna. And then DME, I actually did an interview with for her. I think it's like the 2 on like magazine, like the monthly magazine
Oh,
or
wow.
whatever she does. So I have that interview and I've had pretty good experiences with DME.
That's cool.
Yeah, she's pretty cool. Um, I don't have a link to it, but if you go to their Discord, it's like in the announcements or whatever.
I don't think I'm in the tool on Discord, but if someone has it, I do allow hyperlinks here, so we can get that in chat if someone wants to pull that up. That's really cool, man. I didn't know that you had done that with DME. But that's great. Was it about the twin pool or was it unrelated?
Yeah, it was about the twin pole.
That's awesome, dude. Just invited me. Thanks, Kitty. Let me get in there real quick in the Discord. I think I might have found it. 1 second. No, I didn't. Never mind. Oh well. Let me Google that for you. Thank you. Thank you, Tina. I really appreciate that, man. I'm busy. But yeah, man, I'm kind of out of pre-prepared questions, to be honest. So if you just want to continue to hang out and have a good time, I'm always down. But I don't want to keep you for too long. I don't know what you got going on or anything. We're at an hour and a half, roughly. So
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind answering any questions that people in chat have either.
yeah, we can have a little call to action here for anyone in chat who wants to ask him anything. Relatively unknown person, at least for me. You were very mysterious. I was like, I don't know who this guy is. You know, I had to like reach out to 3 different people. You know, I was like, who is this guy? You know, but I was really happy that you agreed to come on and have a chat with me, because I didn't know if you were going to be kind of reclusive. Because I know some people are kind of secretive, you know, and like that. Because once you kind of give it up, you can't get it back, kind of thing. So that's cool.
Oh no, I'm like the exact opposite. Like even like in my like hunting thread, like I'm about as open as you could possibly be, I guess, without like me like streaming like my gameplay or like showing like my entire like deposit window. Like I'm pretty open about almost everything I do.
Gotcha. So Killer B says he's gonna give you a scenario.
Okay.
You got 100,000 ped. You're stripped of everything but your skills. What would you buy?
100k ped.
Yep. You only have your skills, nothing else.
Okay, if I had 100k ped, I would probably invest in getting at least max reload from rings. Like it could be from the Christmas 2021 ring, I think it's called. Either that or the Eris. Is it the Eris ring? I forgot what it's called. But yeah, I would get max reload from that ring at least.
Aries perfected, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Cause like if you think about it, it's like the cheapest way to increase your DPS. Like
Yeah.
you don't have to use enhancers or stuff like that. Um, but let's see, I would use that, and then if I kept my skills and my HP, I don't need armor at all.
Yeah, that's true.
Um, and then probably put 4K into a adjusted resto chip, so healing is no longer really a worry. Um, let's see, that would leave like around 90k ped. Let me think about this. Weapon. What would be a good weapon?
I can't help you on this one, man. This was for you.
Yeah, I'm just thinking out loud.
Well, no, I got you. So like, you got the SB, the Finn SB short blade with like an amp you could pair with that. That's pretty cheap. Like BC 30 maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, I think
I don't think you get like an LR 40 for that cheap though. Maybe you could.
yeah, I think LR40 goes for around 30k.
But yeah, and then you would have money to keep cycling with because that's important too.
Yeah, I'd probably at most spend 40k on a weapon. So if we spend 40k on like a twin weapon or something like, definitely loot 2.0 weapon because efficiency is very important. So 40k on a weapon, 10k on ring slash resto chip, and then the other 50k is definitely gonna be left for bankroll, just because with the nano cube changes, like I think the most important thing ever nowadays is just your bankroll. Like if you are in a position where you have to PT your loot instead of converting it to nano cubes, you're losing 1%. Like um so for these like top hunters that are cycling like 40 50k ped a day, right? Like if you don't convert to nano cubes, you're losing 400 to 500 ped every day.
Yeah.
And that really adds up. So I think for sure 50k for bankroll, just because of how important it is.
Yeah, for sure, man. What would your mob of choice be for cycling with that ped to potentially bolster it? If we go further down the scenario.
So is this for me personally, or
Well, I know
is
you're
this
gonna target
for
skills, so maybe.
if it was for me personally, I would target Codex.
Codex,
Like,
gotcha.
yeah, I would work on Codex at that level of cycling. Like just work through all the tiny mobs that don't require a lot to get rank 25.
Gotcha.
But yeah, I'm not really familiar with the high markup mobs for low level hunters because I haven't really messed around with it.
Right.
But I think for sure I would probably target the I think they're called like Marsimex or whatever, the ones that drop tier 6 components currently, because of how expensive like tier components are currently. Like you wanna take advantage of that current market.
Yeah.
Everything's super inflated. I think even like tier 3 components are like 800% or like 1000% now. I haven't looked, but yeah, you just want to target any of those components that have a huge percentage right now, and take advantage of the Twin event, because there's so many guns that are being injected into the market, like the economy.
Yeah.
But there's not enough like tier mats to keep up with the demand. Yeah.
Right.
Like not even close. Like one mod nano alone can empty out the market for like a long time.
Right.
So yeah.
Do you think like it would be? Do you have any like suggestions on how that could be addressed? Because I've heard like people say, "Oh, add it to like mayhem mobs loot and stuff." Or do you have any ideas for how to fix the tiering problem that we face right now? Or do you say just screw it and let the hunters have the market? Or the market?
I mean, just from my limited knowledge of how the the loot waves for those components work is that there's like a limited amount that could drop like every cycle or whatever. So they definitely would have to increase that cycle. I think Pirate actually had that issue where
Yeah.
a few months ago there's a huge demand for Pyrite, but the supply couldn't keep up with it. So what Monarch did was just increase the cap or something, because there was like one day where Pirate just dropped like crazy,
Right. I've
and
seen the same
after
thing
that,
happen with Regulite too.
oh, I'm not too familiar with that one, but yeah, after that one day of like Pirate dropping like crazy, like ever since the supply and demand sort of like hit like an equilibrium where it just sort of like settled around 165% or so for Pirate, because
Gotcha.
it was like jumping up to like 200%, like 220% or something like that.
Oh wow. Yeah. Did you get in on the skill pills on or the skill juices on Saturn recently?
I did for a tiny bit, but I couldn't really, I guess, go hard on it because my robot looter at the time of that event was like 30 or 25. Like before
Oh
that
yeah.
event, I never hunted robots.
I gotcha.
So I did the math on it, and I was there for the initial start just because of how loot waves work. Everyone was looting skill pills like on each kill before the pool dried up. So I was there for the initial event, and then I looted a ton of pills in a short time frame, and then afterwards I just left when I noticed the drop rates lowered a ton.
Right.
Um, but yeah, I did the math on what my returns would be with level 30 robot looter, and it just didn't make sense for me to hunt them because I was losing so much money to TT.
Yeah, and it would just make more sense to buy it at that point, right? To buy
Yeah.
the skill juices.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah. No, I gotcha. Pretty smart. So Kitty asked a question, and I'm not sure how it's meant to be phrased, but it's how much do you know about me and how do you feel about me? I think that might. We'll ask it as Kitty's asking it. So have you heard about Kitty Fire?
I okay. I apologize if I'm mixing people up, but I think Kitty owns or owned a pill shop in Medusa, maybe.
Yeah, I think it was enhancers, but yeah, I think she
Yeah,
might
it's
have
either
pills there too.
enhancers or pills.
Yeah, yeah.
That's about the extent to my knowledge of who Kitty is.
Okay. Do you foresee yourself owning a shop in the future to like offload your hunting loot and stuff, or do you just rely on like contacts for that? Or do you use the auction exclusively?
So currently I use the auction exclusively, but I think if I were to, I guess, finally finish hunting flesh rippers and like actually hunt other mobs that could potentially drop items that I would want to list or sell, but I don't have the slots on the auction, I would look into renting a shop. Basically, like I would think about it when it makes sense. Like currently, it doesn't make sense, right? Because I'm hunting flesh rippers and they don't really drop anything that I would want to put in a shop.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. It's mostly stackables and oils, right? So,
Yeah.
gotcha. I mean, that makes sense. I remember like when I'd seen a few of the higher hunters and stuff that were able to consistently pull like pieces of armor or ESIs even,
Yeah,
they,
I
they
think
got shops
the big ones that come to mind are ESIs, the Tesla Pod Pet you could put in a shop. 'Cause I know a lot of
for that.
the
Yeah.
Ubers do that. Stuff like the LP80 Perfected that you get from RDI,
Yep. That is true.
or even if like you get into like wanting to level up construction, right? You don't want to sell like TT your construction stuff,
Right.
or you probably don't have enough slots to list all those things. So shops make sense for that.
True. But have you done RDI yet? Tina asks.
I have not, but I do eventually plan to do RDI, and I'm hoping Boo is interested in doing it with me because I heard he's interested in the backpack. Um,
Nice.
that is definitely one of the long-term goals is to grind out the backpack from RDI.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. And did you see the new suit as well from Cyrene? Um,
Yeah, yeah,
the
for sure.
the one
The
that
uh
that's also gives you some carry weight too, I think.
the blue suit.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm a huge fan of that suit actually.
I really want it, dude. I was so close to buying it off of Dendom for like 9.5k, but I kept telling myself it's gonna go down. It's gonna go down. Just wait.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
So,
Right now I don't have any plans of getting it, but I think before I start doing mining, I want to pick it up just because it's an extra 4% skills, which is kind of nice along with the carry weight. But yeah, I really do like the suit. I just don't want to pay 9k for it currently.
yeah, I think it's down to 8.5k. Was the last time I saw him list it, but I
Hmm.
might honestly just go grind it, man. It's not that much to get done with, and you can kill that stuff with like basically TT weapons. So
Yeah,
might
I
polish
think
up a little hollow and go over there.
I think last time I looked into it, the kill quest was the easy part, but the hard part was the limited drops from the wave
Oh, I
pool,
gotcha. Okay.
loot waves.
Yeah.
I think there's only a specific amount that drops every event or whatever, and I think that's where most of the expenses are actually.
Have you played around with hopping on after a server reset to try to get items that have been, kind of restocked in a sense?
Yeah, I've tried that with even boxes, like just like after like a server reset, like
Yeah.
just trying to figure out like if that plays into how loot works. Can't really say I've like figured out anything like concrete about it, but I do notice, or I did notice, in Molochs, the tier component waves. If you're like the only person hunting there, like during the loot waves, there's like there can be up to like a 5 to 6 minute period of time where every single kill drops up to 3 tier components.
Oh wow.
Like for I think it's for the apprentice, they drop tier 4, 5, and 6 components.
Mm-hmm.
So during a loot wave, you have the possibility of looting tier like one of each, like every single kill.
Yeah, wow.
And that happens when you're like the only person there. So I think if you're someone who is looking to be very efficient with your money, um you should definitely take advantage of Entropia Life, just like scouting out what mobs are being hunted. And this definitely goes against the theory of wanting to hit mobs that are commonly hunted, right? This is the opposite. You want to hit mobs that are not being hunted just because they could have like a separate loot wave pool for specific items.
Yeah, I think that's pretty smart too. I mean, that's a good, advocation for the other viewpoint of, to counter the one that we had made earlier with hunting something that's being cycled because that loot pool is already juicy, so to speak. So
Yeah, and like information like this where the Mog's tier components can drop so many like so consistently when you're alone. Like this is information that you're not gonna really figure out or hear about unless you actually do it yourself.
right.
Um, and I mean like honestly, like who's gonna go out of their way to like tell you this information unless they have something to gain from it, right?
Yeah, no,
So
exactly. I agree.
I think it's very important to just go out and test stuff yourself or figure things out yourself versus trying to listen to other people's I guess advice or tips or whatever.
Right. So do you actively watch any sort of like content on the game, like on Twitch, on YouTube, anything like that?
I definitely avoid YouTube just because
Yeah.
a lot of the information is mostly just like I don't want to say like detrimental, but it's pretty detrimental. Like a lot of the information that's out there isn't very good information.
Yeah.
But I'm usually always checking out Twitch streams. Like mostly just watching in the background. Like I don't really actively participate in chat, but I'm usually always watching streams just to see content that I might like not know about. Like for example, RDI.
Right.
I was watching a few streams about RDI, just like learning about it. And this is like information that I wouldn't really know about from reading because there's a ton of information on the forums and the Wikipedia and stuff, but you're not gonna find like video recordings of this stuff happening. So I like to watch Twitch streams a lot for Entropia.
I gotcha. Yeah, I'd heard that some other people also like to watch like streams to see what's being looted, to see if there's a wave as well. So
Yeah,
that's another cool
yeah,
reason that I've heard.
that's a fair point.
But yeah, man, that's awesome. And I agree that, like, not to talk bad about any content creation, but the content for the most part on YouTube for the game seems to be subpar across the board. But I'm glad that it's out there. It's at least something for the game to have publicity, and there are good videos. There are diamonds in the rough out there, especially a lot of new player content. Like,
Oh, for sure.
hey, you're new to
I
the
think
game, you know, and
yeah,
so
I think a big reason why I don't watch YouTube content is just mostly because it's like stuff
not
that
applicable. Yeah,
it's not applicable to me. Like
yeah,
I'm like in a completely different like I guess like environment to what they're doing. I mean, I'm not like saying it in like a negative way, but it's just like something that I would never like think of doing in this game just because um it doesn't really I guess affect my avatar progress or whatever my goals are. Not to say like the content's not out there, but it's just like content that isn't for me, so to say.
yeah. No, I gotcha. I kind of feel the same way when it comes toward towards that. I think like we're similar in regards to we play the game for different reasons than most people. Like I also skilled up quickly when I wanted to do PvP. I didn't do it as well or as quickly, but like hunting for skills is so much different than hunting for money or like for profit. You know what I mean? So it's kind of interesting when the whole world around you is so centric on that idea of being profitable, and you're just like, I just want to see my avatar go big, you know? So,
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know, but you're definitely being economical about it as well. And you said yourself that you've had positive overall balance, so that's really good too. Because I know a lot of people who aren't who did skill and they use like a karma killer from like level 20, so.
Yeah. I wouldn't say I'm like rich, so to speak, in that like I can throw money at the game without thinking about it, or like to that like point. Like I definitely am in a very fortunate position to be able to deposit this much money into the game, but I definitely try to go the extra mile to like make sure I'm not wasting money or spending it in a otherwise, I guess, like silly way, so to speak. But yeah, I've heard some stories about people who like went into this game with like hundreds of thousands of head and then just chipped in all their skills and then like picked up like the best gear in the game and just went from there. And that's definitely something I would never think about.
What is chipping it in?
Yeah, like because like the cost of chipping in versus just doing it yourself is like not even a comparison.
Right. I agree with that. I've also seen people come in and that are like super wealthy, and they seem just to throw money at the screen, and then they just within a year or two they're gone.
Yeah.
So I think like it's kind of a shame, but they just come in and kind of like strong arm people and give them offers they can't refuse, and they end up with all this end game weapons like the Terminator or whatever, and then
Right.
they're just gone, you know, and then that's just a dead item now on a dead account. So
Yeah. Yeah.
I've
It's
seen that happen
definitely
a lot,
unfortunate.
but. So what's your current ring setup, by the way? Like, what rings are you using? You using the 20-20 combo?
So because I was using the chip, I have a summer 2020 for right hand,
Mm-hmm.
and then I have both the Christmas 2020 and the Christmas 22. Um, the Christmas 22 I swapped to for hard content like mayhem stuff where I want 10% lifesteal.
Yeah.
But in general, I always use the 2020 combo, which gives max reload speed, max crit chance, and then 50% crit damage. And
Gotcha.
one of the benefits of melee is that you can still use the 2020 combo and get max lifesteal from the mayhem amps.
True.
So I'm actually trying to sell my 2022 ring because I no longer need it.
Yeah, definitely. I think the mind or the not mind force amps were great with lifesteal. It was a really needed improvement. So if we can get amps for our rockets next, that would be awesome.
Oh, you can't use any amps on the rockets.
No. Also the adjusted or the mini sweeper, the original and the twin one can't be
Oh
used
yeah,
either.
yeah, I'm
Which is
familiar with that one.
it's so silly because you would think they would have fixed it with the twin item, but no, they just slapped twin on the name and copy pasted the item, I think.
Yeah, I think that was intentional just because of how high the base DPS is on the twin one.
It's possible.
It's probably wanted to account for like the design of the item, because if you were to swap a amp on that gun, it would be like way better than a lot of the guns out there, and for a gun that has been like dropping that commonly, it would be pretty unbalanced, I think.
Gotcha. Have you ever done a beacon before? I'm assuming no, if the answer was no earlier to the RDI.
For the beacon, is that the underwater thing?
So, yeah, there's a few different beacons. It depends on, I think, the TT amount. The total amount of value that it holds is where they're like located around Calypso.
Oh, okay.
Um, but yeah, I was just curious if you had ever done one of those. I don't think they're worth doing because they haven't really like fixed the loot. But anything
When
like
you when
that?
you say when you say fix the loot, are you talking about the like 80% returns or whatever in instances that people talk about?
Yeah, it's like locked or something. Um,
Oh,
like
yeah, I've
isn't it
never.
also like they haven't like restocked it with like good unlimited stuff to drop, you know? So
I see. Yeah, I've never done it, but I saw I think Bonnie streamed with JVK the underwater one, and it looked really fun to
yeah,
do with like friends or whatever. I definitely would be interested in doing it just for fun.
yeah, for sure, man. I'll get closer to the mic, Angelic. Thanks for the call out. That my mic was a little late, but hey, we're 2 hours in. Better late than never. So, but yeah, man, that's cool. I mean, I've done a few with a group. I think it's fun in a group. Like I've tried to run solo before, but it's just such a it's a bigger gamble when it's just you taking all the cost on, you know.
Yeah, for
So,
sure.
but I've done some on Arcadia as well. Those are pretty fun. And the one instance that I hang out in the most is actually Cyclops Depths, which is, if you haven't gone there before, it's a pretty cool place. And the Thorophoids can drop some good tier 3 components, which have good markup. So,
Oh, actually, I didn't know about them dropping tier 3. I've been there for the Marsamex shortly,
okay,
but I didn't really have a chance to fully explore everything. But
gotcha.
that sounds pretty good if they do drop tier 3,
Yeah,
just because of how crazy the markup is currently.
right. That's been one of my little spots I like to go hang out on. And then they can also drop those reload helmets and stuff too. So
Oh, really?
yeah, the limited. I think they can actually drop the unlimited too, but it's super rare.
That's cool. Oh, speaking of how like running in groups helps to absorb the cost. One of the things that I really want to do in the future is just like group hunting those big mobs like the mech roots or multipers, just because when you're hunting like with one other person at least, you're cutting your cost to kill in half, and that really helps with the volatility of like hunting those high cost mobs. Because
Yeah,
just from personal experience, like all it took was like a week or two for me to be down 50k ped hunting mech roots,
right.
because they cost like 70 ped to kill. So when you want to hunt those high cost mobs, I think it's really nice to have like a friend to do them with, and because well, of course you want to do it with someone you trust, just so they don't like run
Yeah.
off with any loot, right?
Yeah, if you
That's like
happen to pull a
my
twin, you know, or something, yeah.
uh-huh. Yeah, the other day actually I was hunting Bolsibirds for the first time with Ronnie, who's in my society, and that was actually a really fun time. Unfortunately, I can't do any more hunting with him because I have to go back to skilling,
Yeah.
but in the future I really want to spend more time hunting those big mobs with people.
With like a team, yeah.
Yeah. So you lower your risk of like getting screwed by bad runs.
Yeah, man. No, I agree. And thanks, Sizzler, by the way, for the Prime subscription there, man. I appreciate it. But yeah, no, I agree, and that's something that I kind of enjoy doing as well, because it makes it social and it makes it fun and more enjoyable than just kind of, you know, mundanely just spamming F, you know.
Yeah, for sure. It's a nice change of pace.
Yeah. I just like I kind of feel like I kind of outgrew team hunting, you know, now that I'm bigger. I don't even hire healers anymore, really, you know, and it kind of sucks sometimes because I miss having someone there to chat with, like even if it was like a healer, you know, that was probably just
Oh,
chatting me up for a tip anyways. But you know, at least it was someone to
yeah.
talk to. So,
You know,
but
speaking of healers, it's really crazy to think about, but back during my first migration, like last year, I hired a healer to hunt Aemon young slash matures, and I was doing it to for the codex because they have analysis or whatever. And I remember my max HP at the time was like 130 or something, and like I basically got like the Aemons, like they would look at me, like they would just like sneeze and I would get one shot.
yeah,
So that was definitely a funny thing to think about. And I remember seeing if you know who Zoe is,
uh,
Zoe Jareg.
yeah,
Yeah. I saw him like nearby, and he was like solo hunting the Aemon youngs and matures, and I thought like, damn, that's like awesome. I don't like one day I wanna be like that dude
yeah, yeah,
and hunt those dudes solo. And then like so that was like a huge goal of mine. But that like now I'm thinking about it now, like my goal for this migration is to be hunting the Aemon Stalker solo,
yeah.
which have like double, triple the damage, and
Dude, that
it,
I'm still just it's tripping me out to know that you've only had the one migration that you were starting on. Like you're so new. Like it's still just so trippy for me, man. That's insane to
yeah,
know that you could go from zero to fucking soloing Eomon stalkers in a year. That's crazy.
yeah. One of the things that I um I set as a goal for myself, like when I was okay, so I was like completely brand new, like just like researching everything, right?
Yeah.
I went around in streams like asking people like for like how long it would take to grind to like level 100 in a profession, and a lot of people are telling me like it would take like at least like a year or so.
Did you come in
And
any of my streams and ask me?
no, I don't think you you streamed at all, like when I was
Okay,
yeah
got it.
back then.
Because I remember
Um,
vaguely something like that happening, so I was curious.
oh, yeah, no, I don't think I asked you.
Oh, good.
Um, but yeah, I was like gathering all this information, right? And I was trying to
Mm-hmm.
like set realistic goals for myself. So one of my realistic goals was that I went into this game trying to get at least one profession to level 100 in a year. And then like after migration and I discovered flesh rippers, it took me like I think like less than 2 months to get 100 in a profession. And it's like really crazy just seeing like my my mindset back then and like my experience and like what I
Yeah.
know now.
Yeah.
It's just like so much, it's like so different versus back then.
That's insane, man. What did you hit? What was the first level to hit 100, and what weapon were you using to get there?
Oh, so back then my goal was level 100 in laser pistols because I
Okay.
had the LP40, right?
Okay.
Um and I was planning on upgrading to the LP70, but I was doing the math on the LP70 versus the BP70, and at the time it didn't make sense to me to make the purchase of the LP70 because how expensive the hypercharged 204 amp was.
Right.
Um, it just made more sense for me to pick up the BP70. So I sort of pivoted my goals and I ended up getting level 100 in BOP pistols first.
Oh wow. Okay. The BP-70 is an amazing weapon.
Yeah,
Um.
I think it's a very underrated weapon for sure.
Yeah. Because
Um,
when I stepped back from the Reaper blade, and it kind of made its way to Zoe, um, I stepped down into a BP-70, and that was actually surprisingly comparable to the Reaper returns and everything. Like, and it was actually kind of nice having a little bit of range, even though it's not a lot. Like,
uh-huh.
I think I kind of underestimated how much of a pain in the butt melee was gonna be. So, yeah, but
Yeah, I'd say the only downsides I had with the BP70 was that the unlimited amps for BLP is like complete trash, like compared to like
yeah,
the A105 improved. Like the A105 improved is such an insane amp. Like it has crazy
yeah,
efficiency, it has good ammo burn, and it's super cheap too. Um, but like when you look at like the BLP amps, you just have all these like 60% efficiency amps, or like they have like crazy decay or stuff like that. Um, so that's the only downside I have with the BP70. But other than that, I think it's one of the best mid-level guns out there. Um, if you're trying to like be efficient with your money.
yeah, definitely. I think that the BLP amps have a lot of room to grow, and there was so back when I had the Reaper before, I had kind of a similar dilemma when the best amp that I could get for it was the 10 Fin Edition, and I couldn't max out my damage potential, but then they came in with the Mayhem Trauma amps, and
Yeah.
then that's when I wanted the blade back, because I was like, you know what, I can fit it with that, and then it fits it out, and I'm able to capitalize on the DPS for that blade, and it
Yeah.
changed it, man, completely.
I was making those comparisons pretty recently just because of how similar the one sword is to the Reaper blade in like damage.
Yeah,
Um
yeah, they're really
I
close, man.
uh-huh.
I was a little
Yeah,
tiffed about that, to be honest.
yeah, I mean luckily the Reaper blade still has a beat in like
Oh yeah,
PvP and efficiency.
right.
But I was making those comparisons too because the 10 Fen, the efficiency on that amp is insane.
Yeah,
I was considering using it with the sword, but then like when I look at the damage difference, it's just way too big.
yeah,
Like
it's just not
comparing
worth
the
that little bit of efficiency. Yeah,
yeah, like I would think about it for just like hunting like smaller mobs and like
yeah,
stuff that you don't want to overkill, but like in just like general hunting, like it's just like such a big difference in damage.
yeah. I
But
mean, going bare blade is fine too. Honestly, sometimes, you know.
oh yeah, for sure. Just depends on what you're hunting.
Yeah. Oh, what's up, Boo?
I
Boo
oh
hopped
hey,
in
Boo's
the
here.
yeah. He says Yazuki, the man, the myth, the fucking legend. And then
I love Boo.
Sizzler asked also, was it worth doing dailies when you started off? I would say
When I
I
started
did.
off,
Yeah.
oh I didn't even do dailies. Like
Okay.
I went straight into migration and then straight into flesh rippers. So I didn't do dailies at all.
Gotcha. I did them. For like the free guns and stuff, because I
Yeah,
played.
I mean it definitely makes sense if you're
Yeah.
playing the game at a slower pace. Like I'm playing the game like at the fastest that I possibly can be without being done with my money spent, right?
Right.
So dailies are not something that I did, but it's definitely a good idea if you're trying to be efficient.
I think the best advocate for dailies in the stream right now is probably Kitty Fire. She was a really big advocate for dailies, especially over on Cyrene, and like Toulon has a lot of good small repeatables that refresh pretty quickly. So
Yeah, I was taking a look at the Cyrene Dream site, which has all this information on dailies and stuff like that, and
yeah.
just like the rewards you can get, really is really nice for newer players or just like people who are hunting on a budget.
Right.
And it also helps you work on your codex, right? Because you're hunting all these various different mobs that you normally wouldn't touch.
Yeah.
So I mean it makes a lot of sense to do dailies.
Yeah, for sure. Especially like, when you're overlapping potentially the skill gain dailies too, and not just like the token ones or something like that. But
Mm-hmm.
and then I think Next Island even did like a texture and a coloring daily, which was like unheard of for years, man. Like
Oh,
people were
is that
paying.
the skills that you have like a really hard time getting otherwise?
Yes. So I've skilled coloring for a long time passively, just from the paint that I've looted. Because I like just to dabble in a lot of different things for no good
Yeah.
reason. But basically what you would do is you would take some paint and like one of the customizable blueprint books. Even if you didn't max it, it just goes based off of the TT consumed. So you get like a ped rough per attempt for the application of the paint. But you only get like a certain percentage of the TT back. Right? So
Yeah.
it's like you're just hardcore just trading ped for skill at that point. So
Yeah, I heard a lot of those higher level skilled people in that profession were really upset with the
with
introduction of those
yeah.
dailies.
Right.
Just because like it like devalued their efforts and money spent.
But I mean, across the board, it's becoming so much easier compared to like old school Entropia
Oh yeah.
to gain skill. I mean, I
For
think
sure.
you're living proof of that shit. So I mean, it's like
Yeah, I think a
So.
big part of like my goals that I set was from when I read Messi's story, and just like I know that he played the game a lot back then, and I was basing my goals off of his skill progression from back then, but it's like an entirely different game now.
Yeah.
Just because like more and more people are understanding like how big of an impact HP level ratios are for skilling. And I'm seeing so many people now at Flesh Rippers. It's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, for
Just
sure.
like all these people that are looking to skill up, and yeah, I mean it's so different from what I've read in the past. It's like you can't even compare them now.
Yeah, I mean, like the tricks or exploits or whatever you want to call them for back then aren't going to be applicable today. I mean, like, yeah, there's always the tried and true, advice that you can do. Like we're talking about the HP to level ratio, but I mean, there were repeatables back then, things that they could have done to grind up, a lot of attributes and stuff. So that's just not a thing anymore.
I heard
So.
yeah, I heard those there's a ton of abusable attribute repeats that people are doing, which
and then they report it after they're done so that no one else can do it. So
yeah. I mean, when you think about it though, like those attributes, they're so like minor in what they
really
like
are.
provide. that like
But
for me personally, I just think of it as like a flex. Like you're just
yeah,
flexing at that point. Like
dude, I
that's
think
why
like Dan Petrov still has like all the player base beat or something on like strength to this day, even after the implementation of meta, which is insane, you know.
oh yeah, for sure.
So
I don't think you can catch up to those people in the past just because of how the
how broken
meta
it was, yeah,
yeah, just because of how meta scales with your levels. Like
yeah. But
I think like
the meta
like
reward actually progresses off of past meta taken as well, not your base
uh-huh.
attributes. So that's kind of cool too. Not a lot of people know that one. Sorry, what were you saying? I didn't mean to cut you off there.
Oh, I can't even remember what I was saying.
It's all
I think I
good.
was saying something about like with the current meta and attributes, like there's like a hard cap like around like level like 110, 120 where
Yeah,
it like doesn't matter like how many codex ranks you grind, you're never gonna catch up to these people who have like 200 plus or whatever from the past system.
right. So, Debug asks, what's a good recommendation for armor for flesh rippers? And hey, Graph, how's it going? Welcome back,
Good
Daniel.
armor for flesh rippers. Are we talk if we're talking like unlimited armor, they're very impact heavy. So the I think it's called the Spec Panellian Imperium armor. It has like 50 plus impact protection or something. It's very good. Um, for limited, I guess like yeah, basically like any armors that have heavy, high impact protection and then uh secondary like cut and stab protection as well is recommended.
So maybe something as well like the Chaledra armor that comes from Triskaron would be alright. Which
I
is
have no idea what armor that is.
oh, sorry. It's mainly just impact armor.
Okay,
So
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, I mean, that makes sense.
But yeah, and it's not a lot of it. It's not like 50, you know, but
Hmm.
I think it's doable.
Yeah, I think the Spec Panellian armor is insane for flesh rippers and also for migration if you're looking to do that. Just because like for such a cheap armor, it's giving you like 50 plus impact protection, which
Yeah,
is
you
pretty
just got to
crazy if
keep
you
it
think about
repaired, I
it.
think, yeah.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, I saw that when it came out. I thought about stopping at that, to be honest. I was like, dude, like I could use this for Eomon and all kinds of stuff, and I know a lot of people who did. So
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think nowadays like the armor goes for like 6K or something. I think it's a really good pickup for unlimited, and you can work towards Imp Imperium with it as well if you really wanted.
oh yeah, for sure, man. Um, so King asked a question. If you want to hunt naked, how many HP and how much evade skill do you need, do you think? To like effectively hunt naked?
Um, let me check the the young flesh rippers. There's a good spot for them,
Mm-hmm.
and they're only level 44, so I think like around like 50 of Vader is when you would like max out your chances of evading them. Um, but for HP, I think it depends on what you're doing. Like if you're trying to like semi AFK hunt on top of the spawn, you're gonna be getting hit by like
Like everything,
five
yeah.
like 5 plus mobs at a time. You can't do that naked. But if we're talking like you're pulling like one mob at a time, I would say you want to have like at least like 200 250 HP just to avoid getting one shot from crits because
Yeah.
they do a pretty decent amount of damage.
Someone asked, anything wrong with picking other than 20 HP to level mobs instead? Um,
So one of the things that I noticed really early on with skilling mobs is that it's very important to hunt mobs that you're able to do the full DPS of your gun without overkilling it. Um, because what I've noticed is that that overkill isn't really taken into account in the HP level formula because the kill bonus, like the skill bonus that you get from kills, it's based on that mob's max HP and their level, right? Hence like the HP level ratio. So if you're firing like 200 damage gun into like a 10 HP mob, right? You're gonna skill at the same speed as if you were to like use a 10 damage weapon, because I mean there's like a little bit of skill gain from decay, but the biggest portion of the skill gain is from the kill bonus. So you want to hunt mobs that you're able to consistently kill without overkilling, and if you're hunting at a lower, I guess like lower DPS, then you definitely don't want to hunt flesh rippers, because flesh rippers have high regen, and you're looking to get as many kills as possible, right? So yeah, I guess there's nothing wrong with hunting mobs other than flesh rippers. The main reason why I hunt flesh rippers is because they're one of the highest ratio or best ratio highest HP mobs that I can hunt, pretty much.
Yeah. I think prior to that, the Brood of Unruly was really popular, which was used by some of the older guys for the same purpose, for the HP to level. And I think that if you're a lower level player, another one to also consider would be Tierak on Arcadia, which will also give you good markup with the hides and the comps there as well. They have a pretty decent ratio of health too.
So Cyrene actually, the devs, they've been putting a lot of effort into making it the best planet for skilling, and they've added a lot of mobs that are basically flesh rippers, but for lower level hunters.
Yeah.
I forgot the name of them. Yeah, scout bots is one of them. There's also a few other mobs that have like basically the same exact HP ratio as flesh rippers, but they're just like lower HP, lower damage. Definitely wanna check out Cyrene if you're planning on skilling.
That's a great tip. Monte also said that the troopers are great as well, so that's also very true. I actually hit commando doing troopers.
Yeah, I mean, like, as long as you're constantly shooting and you're constantly not overkilling, you can't go wrong with most mobs for skilling. Like, especially with the nano cube change, like all these mobs that were like losing people money, right? You can still get markup now just because of the nano cubes. I think that's one of the best changes Monarch has done for the game to really help out hunters.
Yeah, and it also stimulates mining too, because I mean, I know you don't have much experience there yet, but with Listerium and oil being so dominant, you know, it kind of enforces a bare minimum markup across the board for whatever loot you're getting, except for residue, which makes sense, because if you could just recycle your residue back, then that's like 90% of the gambler's loot pool. So in crafting.
Yeah.
So
I mean, like, I don't really give Monarch credit much, but like, I think this is like one of the most like genius ideas they've done, because this gives people across the board more markup while also not affecting gamblers. Because I mean, if I'm being honest, like, these gamblers do not care at all that they're paying like this little tiny extra markup. I mean, if you're familiar with who Conrad is, who gambles explosive projectiles a lot, I was watching him stream the other day, and the things he was doing was like so insane to me. He was gambling on Cyrene, and the nano cube market there got dried. Like, he bought out the entire market, and he went over to the Calypso market while on Cyrene. He bought 2,000 nano cubes for I think like 102% or whatever. He doesn't sort by markup, by the way. He sorts by quantity.
Oh wow.
Oh, sorry, what was that?
It just grabs a stack. Wow.
Yeah. So he just doesn't even look at the markup. He buys it, and I don't know if you're familiar with the transport fees for nano cubes, but it was like it was like 500 ped transport fee or something like that
Holy
for
shit.
2,000 ped, for 2,000 ped of nanocubes, and he was
What
paying that. He was paying that.
Is there like a different transfer fee for nanocubes?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
They made
Holy
it.
shit.
They made it so that you can't as a hunter list your nanocubes on a random planet and have it sold quickly.
Yeah.
They basically force you to go back to Calypso.
Oh, it's by weight. Okay.
Oh, it's by weight. Okay. Yeah, because nanocubes have an insane weight to them. So
Yeah. Wow.
yeah, so like when you think about it like this, like Monarch basically found a solution to give people more markup, and then like also it helps increase the markup of all the oils now, because if all the people are TTing or recycling the oil, there's less on the market, and now there's more demand for the little supply there is.
Right.
So like across the board, you're increasing the markup everywhere while barely affecting gamblers that don't even care. Like I think it was a really good change.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I definitely agree, man. It was by far the best change that I've seen so far. Besides, the one that I actually enjoyed was when they removed the missing shots still costing you ammo with like the ranged weapons in PvP, just because I PvP so much. So that was a good change for me. But other than that, this has been the best one, in my opinion. So yeah, the missing shot change was good. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was like out of like all the things that I remembered as a kid, like that one stood out the most. Is that I back then I was really stupid, and I played the game like an FPS, right? I think there was the option of like locking onto the HP bar of the monster, or aiming like free aim.
Yeah.
And I would always free aim, but there would be like situations where I would miss, and I definitely remember that happening in the past.
Yeah.
So it's really nice that they changed it so that you can't waste ammo anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, they had changed that before I started, and then they left it where it was in PvP still. So like people were being like super like meticulous about when they shot, because I mean these were like tier 10 limited weapons you didn't want to just waste, you know. So
yeah.
And you have to manually aim in PvP. There's no like F spam. So but yeah. I have not tried a flamethrower recently, fire, or debug. I know that the rockets still consume ammo regardless, just by design though. I guess that's also a point to bring up too, is like the rocket users might have been actually adversely affected by the nanocube change.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that one.
But I think Hammer and Sicko brought up a good thread about it on the forums at one point, but I don't think it's affected the market value of the launchers themselves. So at least they're still holding their value for the most part. So I also don't think I saw any twin rockets in the data dump. So
yeah, I think rocket users are just getting screwed over at this point.
Yeah.
But I personally would never hunt with them, but it does make sense from a PvP standpoint to be using them.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's kind of the main driving force of rocket users. I don't know, maybe there are some people out there that just like hunting with them, but I remember hearing about a guy that hunted exclusively with them a long time ago, but I guess that was just for the clout, like you said, like just being really big in one area, maybe, but Alright, Fire wants me to drop a random probe. I forgot I even added that.
Oh, I wanted to ask, so you do mining in PvP, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, what do you think about that? Like, is it still active currently, or well, I mean, like there's definitely activity in it, but like how often do you run into people?
So I've been PvPing for about 4 or 5 years now, roughly. It's not as active as it used to be. So used to, you would have pyrite exclusively in the lootable areas, so there was always a reason for people to be out there.
Oh,
But
did
when
they change that?
yeah, you can get
Oh, okay.
pyrite in non-lootable PvP areas now, like Argus. Like it's like the orange zone up here at Argus. Which one is this? PvP 1. You can get it at Ashy. Hell, I've even hit it at the Orthos Oilfield PvP. So you can get it in any PvP zone now. So there's less of a demand for miners to go out in PvP. I still run into other PKers mostly. The only real reason to still go out there is, in my opinion, the blood moss. That's like the only reason to go mine PvP lootable right now, at least on Cali. You can still hit good amounts of like putty unamped and stuff like that with high markup on Arcadia. That zone is also more desirable for me as a PvPer because the radar is smaller. So basically in the PvP zones here on Cali, you have a 400-meter distance that a green dot can show up on your radar, your stat nav.
Yeah.
Or your sat nav, sorry. But like, you have to be at 200 meters to see them on Arcadia, so they have less time to react and run away from me being in range with my rocket or like a tagger with like 160 meters. So it's better, because if you can charge up a TP chip and get away from me, then what's the point?
Right.
But I could talk about PvP all day, but there are ways around it. Like I've heard about people using creature control pills to get closer, because creatures,
because you show up as red?
yeah, creatures will only show up 100 meters away. So you could see a green dot and then tell your friend who's not a creature where they are at. But yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, I haven't really thought about PvP much, but I think if I were to do PvP, it would probably be when I'm doing mining, just to like change it up. I think that would be really fun to get into.
I think like some I guess some reasons are better than others for mining. For me, it's about markup and like getting the materials cheaper to tier upgrade. But like some people still treat it like gambling. So I would stay away from indoor mining and big amps, even though I know you're gonna probably go fast as fuck for skills, and big amps is the way to go. But stay away from it if possible, man. It's just not stable.
What's the difference between indoor mining? Is it just like
the hit rate?
Is it like condition slider for crafting, basically?
Basically, yeah. So like the radius that you search is smaller, and your hit rate's gonna suck. Like the amount that you find, and then you put an amp on top of that, and you're doing the slider even further. So especially something like FOMA, you know.
Okay, no, I would definitely not do that, because I heard FOMA is also taxed.
It is.
Yeah, I make it a rule to never ever touch taxed areas unless somehow I can make up for the difference in markup.
Yeah.
It just doesn't make sense to me ever.
Yeah, some areas also aren't really worth doing above a certain size amp, or amped at all, even. And there's some stuff you can't even hit with an amp, such as like I think Dunkel and like a few other things like that that are super uncommon. So
yeah, I definitely gotta look into that stuff when I do mining, because currently I have zero knowledge about how mining works.
yeah, I think that the mining community is probably the most tight-lipped community or sub-community in the game. Like, you can find more readily available information about, you know, skilling coloring or even making face masks probably than you can about mining. Like, it's kind of crazy. So good luck with it, man. That's all I gotta say. So
Yeah.
I know King SO9, if he's still in here, he's pretty good about sharing information and being a good guy about giving advice for mining. But he can also be kind of trolly too, so you gotta watch him. But but no, he's good people. But I've had situations where I tried to step to somebody who was mining, and they were basically go, you know, keep doing what you're doing if it's working. That was their advice, you know. So I'm like, okay. but like, you know, I want to hit this certain thing. Like, can you just tell me where that certain thing is? And they won't do it, man. Like,
Oh,
so
actually, that's I actually had pretty similar experiences with asking for help with skilling mobs,
yeah,
or just like asking people in general like how their skilling went with like flesh rippers or something. Like I noticed a lot of the people that I approached were very they like avoided like confrontation, or like avoided giving out too much information about it. And I actually made it one of my goals to basically lay out all that information in my hunting thread, because I didn't want people going into the game to like experience the same thing that I experienced. I
yeah,
mean, I understand why people do it, and I'm not faulting them, because obviously they want to keep their advantage like in this RCE game. But yeah, like I tried as best as possible to just like talk and give away as much information as I could
yeah,
without telling people what to do, or like
yeah,
what like I like never I try not to say like what the best like thing is for so and so, or the best weapon or whatever. I just tell people my opinion on what I think is the best, or like what I prefer, and let people do their own
like the method, you know,
yeah, like
yeah,
people let people figure out for themselves. Like
right.
I provide the information, and then people I try to let people decide for themselves like what they think is best.
Yeah, making it like agnostic of specifics, like
Uh-huh.
that one mob or something, rather than, you know, making it more broad and like, yeah, just go after something with good stable markup, maybe a good HP to level ratio, you know, and because I mean all the information's out there. The wiki's semi-updated most every day. So it's like
Yeah.
you're gonna be
Yeah.
able to find, at least with hunting, what drops, what you need to do by searching the component online. So it's
Hmm.
really easy if you get into it. But yeah,
Yeah, for sure.
I think it's come a long way too. I mean, the wiki and everything, because that used to not even be a thing back in the day. And that's also before my time, but I think it's come a long way with the information that's being shared around and stuff.
Oh yeah, definitely. Just like reading the forums, I was able to learn so much about the history of this game, and just like how stuff was in the past.
Yeah. Yeah, I never cared about my level, but back before the Mayhem rework, which was I guess a little bit before you started, they put like level categories. So after level 100, you could be in the same category as someone that's like level 200. You know what I mean? So a
Yeah.
lot of people wouldn't skill any profession past a certain point so that they could stay in their mayhem category to participate. And so
Yeah,
you ran
I
into,
heard people were also like giving away free skills if they like if you provided the implant
yeah,
just to
because
stay
some,
in those
yeah,
categories.
yeah, a lot of free chip out. Yep. So I got a lot of stuff like that before. I got kill strike before from someone staying below level 100 laser sniper and or damage rather. Um, and then I remember I worked with another guy who basically went as wide as possible and skilled up everything as close to level 100 as he could, and then basically just, you know, gave me ped to play with his weapon for a while, and then I gave him all the returns. Like it was basically like a sponsored hunt because he didn't
Yeah,
want the skills.
that's really smart what
Yeah,
he did.
yeah, but it was fun, you know. So
Hmm.
um, for me, I mean, I got free skills out of it. I was happy, you know. So, but it's also something that I wouldn't really do again because I do think like your returns are kind of tracked. So if I was to do a big hit and gave it back to him, you know, I wouldn't do something like that again. I don't think. But
Uh-huh.
I think item pools are a little bit different than like your base TT return for a given hunt. So
Yeah, I can't really comment on that, but it
it's just like my opinion, man. So
yeah, it's definitely it's definitely some merit to it, I
Yeah.
think, especially for the rare items. Like we don't know at all how the system works.
Oh yeah, I
You
mean
can
like I
only
got
can only guess.
got a rare token with this last mayhem and cat 4, you know, just randomly. So it's like,
Nice.
you know, there's no telling when you're gonna get something like that, you know.
Yeah,
So
of course.
and how do you split something like that, you know, like so
Yeah, definitely.
but yeah.
Well, speaking of skills, I think one thing that Monarch could really work on is reworking how those Whoop 1.0 guns work, because there's like this trap that I've noticed a lot of new players get into where they pick up these really cheap high DPS guns, and there's a reason why they're really cheap, right?
Yeah.
Because they're level 100 guns that you aren't maxed in, and you're gonna lose a shit ton of money. But I've noticed these new players, you try to explain to them that these guns are really bad, but then they don't listen because like they had like one or two lucky hunts where they
Yeah.
profited like DT wise, and then they just think like, oh, like it's not that bad, like, but then like you're using like a 50% efficiency gun that you're missing like half your shots.
Yeah.
So like if you're missing half your shots, your TT returns are already like in the trash, like
Yeah,
before you
because
even shoot
misses
a
aren't
gun.
compensated, right? So
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
So I think it's like pretty predatory on Monarch's part to keep these guns in the system like after Boot 2.0.
Yeah.
Um, so if there's like one thing I wish they could change, just to make the new player experience better.
Yeah.
like like even not even thinking about the gun, like everyone as a new player starts out at level 0 looter, right?
Yeah.
So I mean it's just it's not a good time for new players. Like even me who was hunting with all these high efficiency weapons, like I definitely noticed the low looter levels having a
Like eating
huge
away.
impact.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's like a
It
slow bleed that you can't really stop, you know, and
Yeah,
yeah.
and like if you didn't read the dev notes, like you wouldn't know any of this information.
Yeah.
So like all these like oblivious people who are just shooting away with Woot 1.0 guns, like they're just like throwing money away at that point, right?
Yeah, no, I agree. Except for like maybe the IMK2 as an exception, you know.
Oh yeah,
So,
for sure. I mean, there's definitely exceptions to the rule, but like
right.
most of these guns are like freaking like 50% efficiency, like
Right.
2 DPP or something like that,
Right.
and they just like new players just see high DPS gun for what like low like ped like
Yeah.
cost.
Initial investment, right?
Yeah,
But
yeah,
in
yeah.
actuality, you would be better off just, you know, TTing it. You would
Right.
save money just doing that, you know. So, but yeah.
Yeah.
No, I agree. I think like when I was talking in a previous Q&A, like it came up with like the idea that hopefully maybe some limited weapons that were higher efficiency would become available for the masses with actually like decent markup so that you don't have to pay an arm and a leg. Like
Yeah.
limited variants of these high-end guns that you really don't get a chance to try out, you know, because if you're a new player and you're talking about, you know, a couple $1,000 commitment, you know, for a decent gun just to get started with, that's a lot. You know, if you're an average person that's just a casual gamer.
Yeah.
And
It
this market's intimidating as all heck, so
of course. I think Monarch is making a really big blunder, I guess, so to say, with how Twin is currently going.
yeah.
I feel like they could have done so much more with like involving the I guess like the non-Ubers, the people who aren't like shelling out like 10-20K for a weapon.
Yeah.
Like they definitely could have added like limited variants of these weapons, or added you know, like tokens that you can grind to exchange for a limited variant,
Yeah, that's what
or
happened with
even
Finn.
yeah, I don't understand why they've like handled one the way they have so far, but
Yeah.
it's been pretty disappointing. Just because like the Twan event was a big like motivation for me to like invest like so much money and to like invest so much time as well.
Right.
But it's been pretty disappointing so far. Like
Yeah.
even Mayhem, like we we're seeing this issue now of all these Ubers like grinding insane amounts of Mayhem tokens, and there's no amount of like weapon supply that's gonna keep up with this influx of tokens.
Right.
And there's no token sync that like the Ubers can like use their tokens on besides waiting for weapon refreshes.
Yeah.
But these weapon refreshes are like I wouldn't say they're destroying the economy, but they are definitely affecting the economy. I don't know if it's in a good or bad way, but like tier components are completely sold out. Um, and there's so many weapons like flooding the economy, but there's still so many people with tokens sitting in their inventory because they can't like buy anything.
Right.
And I think Monarch could really do with like just adding like limited versions of guns to the vendor, or just ways to spend tokens like without it being weapons, right? Like
Right. I mean,
like
they got pills, right? But I mean, the pills suck.
yeah,
You know, why are you
the
gonna
pills
go
are
and?
so they
Yeah.
don't make sense at all. Like
I mean, they're 10% or whatever. So they're not even the 15% ones, you know. And you've got like the skill pills, but like if you're already at that point where you're past the bell curve, you've maxed and beyond maxed your weapon, right? And
yeah,
you're like in the level 200s to 300s, you know, like some of these guys are. Like,
uh-huh.
what's your motivation to skill more? Like, you know, there's no bigger
Yeah.
weapon to get into. So,
I think the items that I really like are the 1% lifesteal cloak or the
yeah,
HP
dude.
cloak. I think those items are really cool, and I kind of wish that they did something like that with the tokens. Like just add like not like items that are not unlimited weapons that like cost like 100 to 200k pet.
Yeah,
Like
vanity items, cosmetics, you know, anything like that would
right.
be awesome, you know.
Yeah. I mean
Especially like a buff, you know, like more backpacks even maybe, you know, and that
yeah,
kind of thing.
definitely. I really hope that Monarch recognizes the current like issue with this mayhem system. Like
Right.
we're like approaching a point where Ubers are having like 200 to 300k tokens sitting in their inventory, because with the mod Nano, you're grinding like more than 50k, like 80k tokens every event, right?
Yeah.
It's just like an insane amount,
It
and
really is.
people are never gonna catch up to that amount like eventually.
Yeah. Yeah, it can kind of also be, you know, a little bit disheartening and intimidating for people who are just starting out, because for the longest time I didn't grind mayhem. I would rent out my gear and I would sit back and maybe plink some noob categories with like daily guns. That's legit what I did. And that's how I made some passive income in the past. And I still kind of continue to do that with some of my gear now. But I'm really particular now to start capitalizing on the potential revenue that Mayhem can be, especially with the rework, and being fortunate enough to get my rare or a rare so early on before I started to have these abundances of just regular tokens. But there's a lot of money that I lost by just sitting by and not participating in Mayhem. Because there's no telling how much I could have already pulled or gotten by now, but I don't really regret it at the same time.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I made it guaranteed money instead of kind of quote unquote gambling, you know. So
Yeah, and the new way they're handling restocks, I think, is not a good way of handling it like at
yeah, no,
all.
I agree.
Like it's horrible for anyone that has the tokens to pull a weapon. Like both like mentally, it's like mentally exhausting, and like psychologically, like
Yeah.
you'll be like sitting in bed and you could be thinking in your head like, what if the item restocks while I'm like sitting in
Yeah,
bed, right?
it causes you to stress out and constantly be like, you know, thinking about it, you know, and just stressing out over it, you know, like
it's just not a good time.
yeah. Because I mean, like, there's also people who are complaining about when the time of the restock occurs, because it's never a good time for us here in the States. You know, like it's always like good for the people like in Europe or Sweden or something. So
Yeah,
yeah,
I think they could have handled it a lot better, like just having like a random like raffle that you could like opt into for when it restocks or something like that. Something that doesn't require you to constantly think in your head like I could be missing out on a restock if I'm not staring at my screen at this current moment. I think it's a very like unhealthy way of like handling the system.
I've kind of heard the random idea before, but sort of like you redeem a rare token and you get a random pull. Like you get something random from the vendor for your rare token. That would be of around, you know, the at least a rare to get, but that could also like force some of the things out. So you could get maybe like a regular Haddock, or you could get a Mod Nano. You know, you don't know. So
Yeah.
but I thought that would not be well received either. I don't think so.
Oh, definitely not if you're on the like the bad end of that deal.
Oh yeah.
You're just gonna complain about like these tinfoil theories about like why this other dude got a mod nano and you got like
Yeah.
a freaking like a zero whatever that
That
rifle is.
noob's first mayhem, you know, pulls a
Yeah.
mod nano. So it would happen. Yeah. It would happen, man. There's only like a matter of time. So,
Definitely.
But yeah, I don't know what the solution would be, but I know for a fact it's got to be someone like manually sitting there re-adding it. So.
Yeah, I mean, like I can't really think of any other scenario than that, just because.
Yeah, I mean,
like,
if I was sitting there waiting, I would look at between 8 and 9 o'clock GMT or whatever time they get in at their office at MindArt, and close towards the end of the day when they're wrapping up the day, like something they do first of the day or like end of the day or something. Someone in MindArt watching the streams right now, like shit, he's on to us, you know. But no, I'm just thinking realistically. But
I mean, yeah, if you think about like, it makes zero sense that they would add in like or code in like an automated system to randomly distribute the items versus just a dude at the office.
I don't know.
Putting the items in.
I think it's a dude, man. I think it's just a dude clicking a button. Like I really do. Like it's live. It's not like a reset. So I don't know. It doesn't require a server reset. So
for sure.
I don't know. Another tinfoil hat theory for you. But yeah, I don't know. It's a conundrum for sure for him.
Mm-hmm.
So what category do you tend to grind for Mayhem? Do you go full send with the like cat 10s and shit?
Oh, I've been like bouncing around just because I'm trying to gather my own information on if the higher categories are worth it or not, because the jump from cat 9 to cat 10, like HP and damage wise, is like really insane. And I have this working theory that the category doesn't really matter as long as you aren't overkilling for normal tokens.
Yeah.
But I have a feeling that obviously the harder the category, the better your chances of rare drops is. But me personally, whenever I have like 15% pills running, like if I can afford to run them, I'll be doing the highest category that I can. But usually I just do like the lower categories because my my token rate from lower categories I haven't noticed it really being that affected that much versus sticking to higher categories.
Yeah. I don't know. I've had better luck like in certain categories, but I don't know if that's just me correlating stuff that isn't correlated. Because I haven't done a lot of time in each one. Like I haven't run
I feel like it's all anecdotal, right? Like
it is.
You need a shit ton of information or a shit ton of data to even
begin to know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Otherwise, it's just like, hey, that one time I was in that one cat.
Yeah, exactly.
So, and it could change mayhem to mayhem. Who knows? So.
Yeah, I mean, like honestly, for me, it's just like do whatever you feel like doing. Like if you think higher categories is better for you, just do higher categories.
Yeah.
Like I'm not gonna tell people to do like so and so because I think it's best.
So Sizzler asks, is there a possibility that someone inside MindArt could sell the information on when it'll get restocked? I mean, yeah, that's
I
a
mean,
possibility.
that is 100% a possibility. Like we don't know like if there's people with this outside information, like insider information, right?
Yeah.
Like I think in the past there was a lot of controversy from what I've read of Monarch employees either giving insider information or they just straight up played the game with this knowledge advantage. I even heard about people like Monarch in the past. I don't know if it was Monarch, but whoever ran Entropy in the past, they would literally just hand out free items to players like mod faps or shit like that.
Oh Jesus.
Yeah. I mean, this is what I read about. Like, I don't know if it actually happened, but
I have no idea. I know someone who has successfully duplicated mod faps before.
oh yeah, I heard about that one too.
Yeah.
There was like a dupe going around, and
Yeah.
they removed most of the items, but they let the people keep some duped items depending on if they were a friend of the company or if they were like a secret employee or whatever.
Oh, I had no idea about that, but
I
interesting.
mean, this could be all tinfoil shit, but like,
yeah, I mean,
if you
why
think
not?
about human nature, like,
Yeah, I mean,
people are always doing this kind of thing.
corruption's a thing, man. Like, and not only
Yeah.
that, but also favoritism. So, like,
Yeah, for sure.
I've heard about people having friends on the other side. You know, like I'm sure it goes on. But yeah, man, it's kind of scary. I think like there's also stuff that's just now emerging that's been around for a while. Like when we talk about API security, or even the thing with the mobile application very recently that was exposed on Discord with that anonymous guy that just came forth with it. There's no telling how long people knew what was to come.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You know, and had knowledge of, because even knowing what's coming, if I knew that the stats on like the twin blade, and I wanted to get out from under the Reaper blade, like if I was really in fear or if it was better, I could have sold it because I knew that information. And if that was to myself, that's a massive advantage.
Yeah.
So there's no telling how long that had been a thing, you know? So people can say, well, maybe he has insider information. Well, maybe like there's just something that we don't know about that exists. That's a way for them to peek into the window. So
Speaking of the API leaks, like even currently, like we don't know if they added any new items to the database unless like you go in for yourself and check, because the guy hasn't posted in a while. But yeah, like people like currently as we speak like could have like information about any new items that got added that the public doesn't know about.
right.
And this could also like go back to what he was saying about when items get restocked. Like you could get tipped off about like when a mod nano is going to get restocked, and then you just like hop out of your instance, pick it up real quick, and then go back to grinding. Like I mean, I'm not saying it happened, but there's a real possibility. And I think this is just sort of like I think like if you're like really invested in this game, you sort of just have to tell yourself like this could be a real possibility, and then decide for yourself if this game is still worth continuing, because there's been so many cases of like corruption happening in Entropia. Like even I don't know if you're familiar with the whole like dev healing chip drama that happened.
Oh man,
like recently.
I was actually really close to that one, closer than a lot of people know. So Danio basically had the heal chip, right?
Yeah.
And he was at the Omegaton West Habitats area using it in an apartment. That's where my apartment is. So I legit was on my way to the apartment, and fuck the stairs, they take too long. So I jumped down the stairs, and all of a sudden, from nowhere, I get healed by Danio. So I'm like, what? I'm looking around, and I see like a green dot, like across the fucking map, and I'm like, where is this guy? So I'm looking around, going in and out. I took damage again to see if it would happen again, and it did. I sent him a PM. I'm like, you know, where are you? What are you doing? How is this happening? No reply for the guy. He was like totally AFK. And I reached out to MindArc live support. One of my first of many poor interactions with live support that was just like, make a ticket, not my problem. But by the time that they actually replied and got out there to look, Daniel was back at his keyboard, had hit T to revive or something, and claimed that he was bugged exiting an instance of Mayhem or something, and linked me his mod resto. So I had nothing to go off of, but I'm not like the guy who got the screenshot or anything, but that fucking screenshot is one fucking work of art, man. He's using it, he's got it equipped, and he's got it shown. Like, it's amazing. But the way that he was able to do it AFK is because if you've ever used those like field regen chips, it basically puts like an arrow on the ground, and it's like a massive AoE heal, and it's a server-wide heal, man. So if he was in fact in his apartment, it wouldn't have been a problem, but he was on the balcony, so people outside of his apartment's instance were affected. That's how we were able to find out about it.
Yeah. So just like basing your information, like if that were to never get leaked, right?
Yeah.
Like how do we know like how deep it goes? Like how deep does the corruption go?
How many people was that dude who gave Danio the chip? Was he giving other people stuff? Like, how long had that all been going on? You know, what kind of advantages have other people had? You know, there's no telling the extent of that. So, and you're talking about issues with efficacy and transparency with MindArc at that point, and then you start to wonder, well, can we really trust them? And then you get all of these layers involved, and then you wonder why people have all these crackpot theories about what they say isn't right. So, like, yeah.
It definitely is a huge hit on like the integrity of the game as a whole. Because then you just start questioning, like, what about like the past 20 years where he didn't get caught? Like,
yeah. Yeah, Leon brings up a good point too, where he had been selling those bio skills for a long time prior. I think that honestly is the reason why he got hit so hard with it. I think like it would have been a slap on the wrist, but MindArc legit just reset all of the related skills and attributes to nothing on that character and just banned him for like a year or something. I think Dania was banned longer than the people who exploited Yogs were. So that's a whole nother gate. That's a whole nother gate too, man. Like we could sit here and just talk about the blunders, but it's crazy, man. But that's a great thing to bring up when it comes to like them potentially selling info and stuff.
It's definitely something you should really consider if you're like trying to invest heavily in this game, because I mean, like you're going in knowing like this could be a rigged game, like not in your favor.
Yep. And
I mean, like me personally, if I really did care about the money, like I wouldn't be playing Entropia.
Right.
Like, I'm not playing this game to make money. I'm playing it because this is a game I really enjoy, and I think just the money aspect really plays into like having more like on the table and just making it more like emotionally invested, which makes it like definitely more enjoyable in the end.
Yeah, man. I think that really helps enhance the experience. You know, you have more meaningful relationships. You have, I mean, like this community, even though we've got our I don't know, like scummy people or whatever, it's still one of the cleanest and best communities that I've come across gaming. So by far one of the most inclusive and nice communities, most pleasant communities that I've been a part of.
Yeah, I mean it also ties into you can only have one avatar, or you're only supposed to have one avatar, so your like choices that you make in this game stick with you.
Yeah.
One of the,
you can't really change your name either, so
yeah, definitely. So like, if you like make these decisions that paint your avatar in a negative picture, it sticks with you, and there's like actual like consequences to this, because like if you're trying to like make trades with people, it's not really going to go well for you if you have a negative reputation in the game.
Yeah, there are some people who will intentionally not purchase items from like space pirates, for example. You know.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, man, it's crazy, man. How deep some of the I don't know, reputational stuff can really get. You know, when it comes to like being categorized or excommunicated. But like me personally, being associated with a certain side of the two big PvP societies, I was kind of alienated from half of the big player base that was also participating in PvP
Uh-huh.
because we fought against them at like every single land grab. Even though you kind of start out neutral and like cool with everybody, like it's like flipping a switch, man. As soon as you step into PvP.
Oh yeah, that I think that was a big reason why I stayed a freelancer for a very long time before I decided to join Endgame.
Yeah.
Is that I wanted to get to know more of these like big society, like Endgame societies, like the high level societies more, and
Yeah.
get a feel for how they were, because I didn't want to like get like throw myself into like drama or anything that would like keep like me like divided from the player base or stuff like that.
Yeah, I think too, like, one of the major perks of Endgame right now is how small it is. Because I remember even watching the society that I cultivated grow, like, almost exponentially. I lost those intimate relationships, and you sort of get these internal cliques as well that can further, like, segregate the society, and, like, you don't like what's the point at that point? You know, you basically have 3 micro societies within one.
Yeah.
So I really think that's going in the benefit of Endgame right now and how strong they are is because of how small that it's staying. And everyone seems
for
like
sure.
really cool and like-minded and reputable good people. So that's also very good for a PR perspective as well.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't had much of a chance to really interact with like Captain Jack or Lindsay within the game, just because they're currently taking a break mostly. Like they're not
Okay.
really active in the game.
Yeah.
But like the people who are currently active in Entropia within the society, I've had really great experiences with, and honestly, they're super great people. I think Espo, if you're familiar with Esposito,
I have no idea who that is. No, I'm joking. Yeah.
yeah, I was gonna say like a lot of people like I don't know how to word this. Like I don't know if like it's like envy or jealousy, but I think he gets a lot of like unnecessary hate that I've noticed from people, even though
Really?
he's like one of the nicest people that I've met like in the game. Like even as like a new player, like I approached him and he was like completely like
Yeah, he's so
open
chill.
and nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, like he didn't like look down on me just because I was some like random new player.
Yeah,
He
so
he was like willing to help out and stuff.
yeah, I met Espo doing I think I don't know if I got him in. I think someone else got him in the society that we were in together for a while.
Uh-huh.
But we did PvP and we would wake up at 3 a.m. to do land grabs together. I mean, we were hitting it hard, man. Like he was
Yeah.
one of the closest people of my friend group inside of that PvP society. We were part of the backbone. The dude's talented as hell with PvP and Entropia. Yeah, I love Espo, man. He's awesome. Actually helped him with an issue with his internet the other day. So
Oh, nice.
yeah, it was fun. I fixed a bandwidth issue for him. It was his network interface card, but I think we got it squared away now. And then I realized I checked mine and realized I had the exact same issue. I was like, so it was mutually beneficial. I had never even checked my my NIC on my build, so
Dude, I hate internet issues. I recently upgraded my router, and there was this really, really crazy issue where my internet, I couldn't stream any videos, right? Like it was super laggy,
yeah.
and it was the most insane like issue that like I resolved. Like I basically was googling every single thing about like my network card, my internet provider, all this stuff, and basically I had to go into the network adapter like property settings
Yeah,
or some
yeah, yeah,
shit, and then like change like one like variable that I never would have found out unless
yeah,
I like stumbled upon this like Reddit thread. Like the
yeah.
most random Reddit thread was
Yep,
the solution.
yep.
So yeah, I'm like traumatized from like internet issues, man. I hate them so much. Like yeah.
Yeah, no, you're good. I mean, if you ever need something, feel free to reach out. I've been in the security and IT space for a while, so
Okay, nice. Yeah, I'll definitely remember that.
yeah.
If I have
Vandal's help
internet
desk,
issues.
welcome. So
Nice.
maybe I should make a channel on the Discord for help desk. But
Yeah,
yeah,
man.
but no, I know what you mean, man. Some of the weird corner cases are hard to get taken care of, you know. So
hmm
Monte asks, what's the currently best actively recruiting sock out there right now? Oh, and thank you for the subscription, Espo.
Oh, hey, Essel's here.
Um, I don't know, Monte, honestly, man. I haven't been in the market for a society in a while. But I would also just be like, why do you need a sock? But that's just me.
Yeah,
Um,
I think it really depends on what your expectations are, right, from the society.
yeah,
Like there's like societies for everything out there
yeah.
in Tropia.
I like grinders. P-Reg does a lot of cool hunts and team hunts and activities and grinders. I joined them for like a TT hunt with like a Barbella on the Kerberos. Super fun, you know? So if you like the low end content, you can find like a good active like newbie hunter group. But honestly, man, like there's also dangers about associating yourself with people that you don't know. Because you're kind of bundled in that group. So yeah, CRT is awesome too. Calypso Rescue Team, like Boo said. So
Yeah, I would say societies are really good for you and also potentially really bad for you, depending on how it turns out, just because of who you could potentially associate yourself with.
yeah,
But I would say for sure, like some of, some of the best times I've had so far in this game is just spending time with my society.
yeah, for sure, man. I think that's it too. Been looking for upper end game, like-minded people, friends, voice chat. Can't find it. I mean, there are some options out there, but I guess maybe try to talk to someone in end game if you're looking for like upper end game, like-minded people. So it's kind of in the name, isn't it? So
I would say definitely just advertise yourself so you're interested in
yeah.
societies. Reach out to people.
Is there a sock like recruiting channel in the game? I don't even know if there is one or not.
Not that I know of, but people ask on the forums all the time, and
Yeah,
there's always people like advertising or like mentioning their society that they would like be interested in taking you or whatever.
yeah. Forums but not very active, yeah. Yeah, you could ask in Cali Trade. Oh, by the way, I was gonna ask, in regards to the twin pool, are you still using it actively, or did you get rid of it?
Oh no, I sold it. Um,
Oh,
I sold
nice.
it to Asgarot if you're familiar with who he is.
I honestly have no idea who that is.
Oh well, basically he's also looking to scale towards a mod nano,
Nice, dude. Okay.
and he's someone that I've talked to a bunch of times. He actually made a hunting thread because he said he was inspired by mine,
Oh, wow, okay.
and he he's also like sort of at like taking like a similar path to me, like wanting to be a like end game hunter. Um, so I definitely wanted to help him out by selling the sword to him versus like someone else.
Yeah, definitely. I think if you're able to, you know, have that connection, you know, and you know the guy's gonna be solid and get a lot of good use to it versus it going to like a reseller, you know, or something. So
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I, I think as long as I'm not like losing a ton of money or something, I'll always try to give people a good deal on the stuff that I sell. I think like all the weapons that I used to own that I sold, I always sold them at the price I paid or less. I never really tried to make a profit from it.
Right. I'm the same way, man. With the exception of one, when I sold the Reaper, so.
Hmm.
But
Yeah, I'm assuming you sold it just because the price was like too good not to take.
yeah. Yeah, it was that. I mean, I when I originally posted it, I think it was like 600k start bid, 800k buyout, or something just abhorrently high, because that was like back in the COVID bubble, you know. And I was
Yeah,
like, "There's
yeah, yeah.
no way," you know. And then like someone reached out to me around like, I was like, "Well,
Oh
maybe
shit.
I'll drop it down a little bit." So we ended up landing around 550k or something,
Damn.
rough value. It was crazy, man. So I mean, I had a lot of debt with the guy, and so that debt got cleared, and then I got into a pretty good weapon and some other odds and ends. But at the time, everything was valued around that mark, so
Uh-huh.
that's when I stepped down into the BP-70, and no, I would not do it again. I'm, I'm back with it, and like I said, the amp with it's insane. So I'm more than happy with it. The demand seems good for rental right now for the guys who are chasing down the mod nanos. So, I mean, I'll keep doing it while there's still a market for it, and then I might get rid of it after that kind of dries up. But we'll see.
Uh-huh.
But I kind of like the progression for the HP from it, man. It's
Oh yeah,
nice.
for sure.
But
And you're also you're building strength as well for
yeah,
weight capacity, which is really nice.
yeah, my strength is super high. Not only from grinding, but also that's what I prioritize on codex. Instead of agility, because I care more about the HP gains from strength than I would about maybe being a little bit faster moving or a little bit greater chance to avoid being hit.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I'm at, let's see what my strength's at. 132 strength now for me. So it's getting there. I like to flex every once in a while on PCF and upload it to be updated on the scoreboards on those threads. Like, it's fun.
Yeah, it's definitely nice to just see how you compare with everyone else.
So what's your meta rank at?
Meta rank. Let me see. It is currently at 87, and I would say most of that is just from hunting mayhem mobs.
Really?
Yeah.
87, man? Oh my gosh. I guess you don't hunt around a lot. You're like really laser focused on like one thing.
Okay. I'm literally the only mobs I've hunted are mobs that I thought would be good for scaling,
Yeah.
or they were for events like migration, mayhem, stuff like that.
Who says yes? I'm ahead of Yasuki on meta.
Yeah, I'm sure like pretty much 90% of the community can say they're ahead of me.
Yeah, I think like when meta got implemented, like my baseline meta was higher than that. Like when it first dropped, so that's crazy, man.
The funny part is that I think before Easter Mayhem, I was at like 40 or something attribute challenge.
Dang, man, that's crazy low. Wow.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
But I mean, like you've also only been here for a year, so I can't be too hard on you. So
yeah,
that's crazy, dude.
I think like 2 months ago, even like I had like 18 stamina.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I mean currently it's 36. It's still insanely low, but still.
Right. I mean, honestly, with you being so kind of fresh in the meta, you could actually benefit from saving your meta for later, because like I said, it will scale off the meta rewards you've already taken and not your base attributes. So in theory, if you bolstered the base attributes from grinding and saved up your meta, you would get a bigger total point boost. I mean, like, it's probably not going to be like insane, but if you're kind of autistically min-maxing like I like to do, then that's the way to go.
Yeah, I think the only thing that I'm really caring for meta for is just stamina. Even though it's like
Yeah,
really like insignificant, it's still like HP that you can't get anywhere else.
Oh yeah, man.
Right?
I take that every time it's offered. Like that's
Uh-huh.
without a doubt what I take, because it's just
I mean,
so
like,
strong.
yeah, like just like in the grand scheme of things, it's minor, but like all those like points add up like
Yeah.
to your total HP level. So it's definitely something that I'm prioritizing.
Yeah, I still have the old school tokens, some of those still in storage for stamina and agility that I'm still waiting to redeem, because like that again, the same mentality of like the higher that it is, the more actual benefit I get from taking it.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if I'll ever redeem them, but so what's something that you think that you would like to see brought back that you've heard about existing that doesn't exist in the game anymore? Some examples, I guess, would be stuff like Battle Simulator or anything like that that used to be a thing that looked fun to do.
I can't think of anything besides Battle Simulator, but I saw a video of that Battle Sim or whatever, and that looked super fun.
Yeah,
Um,
it was.
I don't know what was the reason why they removed it or whatever.
So there was one person that consistently won Battle Simulator, and I think they were losing money on it because not a lot of people were running it and not benefiting with the reward. Like they would pay out like a jackpot reward or something like every week, and it was always the same dude that won it.
Wait, what was the how did the reward system work? Was it like you put in money and then
So basically,
it
you would
gets
pay
full?
like an admission fee to run it, and then you would
Yeah.
have unlimited ammo. You would have like their versions of rocket launchers and stuff. Um, and like once you were done with it, if you completed it, you would get like a loot box, kind of like the ones at the end of beacons and stuff that you open. Or
Uh-huh.
you would, if you died, it was like game over. You had to start again, and you lost like the 5 pet admission or whatever. And then like the fastest person to complete the Battle Simulator run on the scoreboard would win that jackpot payout at like the end of the time, like every week or something.
So how are they losing out money on it if it was player
Not enough
funded?
people were running it,
Oh, okay.
and failing, and they weren't profitable, I don't think.
Was it a planet partner thing or was it Monarch?
This is my opinion. Again, just to caveat, I didn't. There's not an actual reason, I don't think, that I've seen.
Okay.
But that's my idea of why. I was just gonna preface that.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, that's fine.
But
I mean, it definitely makes sense if only one person was winning ever.
yeah, and eventually people just stopped competing with the guy, and so I think that's kind of when it fell off. I mean, there were like limited Batsim like handguns, like BLP handguns, like the Batsim R4, R3. Those were really good to get to, and they were good guns.
Yeah.
So that was always a reason. Like any time that I needed a gun, I would just go run the category that I wanted to, try for or whatever, go run it. So I don't know if we get like the lower ones.
Yeah, I think the concept of Bat Sim sounds like really fun. Just like having like a competitive aspect to the game where you can like have like a leaderboard or something. Like I don't know if it needs to be like a weekly event or whatever, but you could have like a leaderboard or something just for people to like compete in, like want to grind for or stuff like that.
Right.
I think it's really nice.
Yeah, I agree, man.
I mean, I wasn't here for when this game had like a bunch of competitions, like the old Mayhem system, or I think the Arcadia Gold Rush event or whatever,
Yeah.
where there was like prizes given out.
I think they brought that back recently. But
Oh, have they?
I want to say they did a Gold Rush recently. It just wasn't the same though.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they did. It says debug. Yeah, they I used to grind the skills, the skill pills in like the low category back when I was a new player. Like I'm talking like really early in my career. I did Gold Rush for the skill pills. That's back when they were a lot harder to get as well.
Yeah, I heard that that event was insane for skill pills.
Yeah. it was the way to go. And I think like you were pretty much guaranteed to get 100% pills if you were in like the lower category and could actually be in there. But you were basically, you had to be a new player to get the benefit of that, which was actually kind of cool because it balances it so that like the new players skill up faster and then like the big players kind of slow down a little bit. But yeah, it was fun.
Oh, speaking of which, I think the way the game is currently, just like the whole skilling thing, I think we're at like a point right now where skills like outside of Wither levels like don't really matter just because of how easy it is to skill nowadays, right?
Yeah, unlike maybe some stuff like the harder to get stuff, maybe like captain skills and stuff like that too, or maybe mining. But for hunting, I agree. Like rifles worthless, you know, handgun, you know. But because it's just so readily available.
Yeah, I was actually thinking about like how they can make the new player experience better. And one of the things that came up in my head was to adjust how looter levels scale, like have it be more like heavy on the like beginner levels, like the benefit they provide, right? Because new players have to start with 0 looter level on top of basically using like limited armor and limited weapons if they want to hunt efficiently, right?
Yeah, they're like going up
it's just like ways, yeah, it's just like expenses on top of expenses on top of expenses, and if you actually like did the math on how expensive hunting is as a new player, it just doesn't make it like reasonable or attractive as a new player to get into this game. And I think it's a really big issue with the player retention, like outside of like huge like whales coming into the game, like I don't think we really see a lot of new players, right?
Yeah.
And I'm hoping they take that into consideration for Unreal Engine's release, because if they keep the new player experience the same exact way it is currently, but with like new graphics, I don't think it's gonna help at all with player retention. If you just like keep throwing, you're basically like just throwing shit at a wall and like hoping it sticks, right? Like with like this influx of players, right?
I love
you're
that
just hoping
euphemism, by the way. Fucking beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, you're just hoping they stay, right?
Yeah.
Like, I think they could really do with a rework for how the looter system works or scales.
I think, but like, you're like the second person I've ever heard use that term too. It's pretty awesome. But yeah.
Yeah.
Leon brought up a good point too, saying that skills used to be even more worthless. Back when, you know, you had the caps or whatever for each category of mayhem. People would just be giving away skills basically. But yeah, I think like also the way that Angelic was approaching it with his idea that he just posted with the, you know, first 50 looter levels could give you a bigger increase of TT return, and then the next 50 it slows down.
Yeah, I wish it would scale like that instead of it being linear. I mean, like, from what we know, it's pretty linear.
Yeah.
Just from the information.
Because I did testing, and this is also some misinformation about looter. I've been in teams before with like lower level people, and they're like, "Oh, let Vandal loot because his looter is higher." But I tested this out with Hijacker. We were both in a team with the same weapon, and I couldn't tell you how many times we had to kill a mob to get it to be exactly the same, with no crits, no nothing, with the exact same amount of shots, and both of us didn't get hit a single time.
Yeah.
Because that's just another variable. So only shooting the exact same shots, no crits, no nothing, and the only difference was looter level. He pulled more shrapnel in his loot than I did in the team because he was higher looter level. So that's how it scales. It's not that if someone with a higher looter level loots the mob in the team, it'll be better loot for everyone. It scales at that level. So,
Yeah, I
and
mean,
yeah,
that's something that I've always thought about, and I assumed it worked exactly like you described it, because
yeah,
otherwise it doesn't really make sense, because then at that point, like, why wouldn't you just pay someone to be in a team with you and loot for you, right?
yeah. We also noticed that if you crit, you would get more loot. So it's like it almost like it rewards crits for some reason. So
That's an interesting point.
there's a lot of interesting stuff you can do by testing that out. I would recommend looking into it.
Yeah, I definitely will be spending more time just figuring out the game after I'm done skilling.
Yeah, yeah.
I definitely have a goal of trying to finish skilling the swords stuff before migration, and then afterwards, I think I'll finally be chilling with skilling.
Nice, man. But yeah, I do agree with your point though. Talking about the mod nano earlier with the locking into the certain category of mobs that you don't overkill them. So like, do you have any plans on like what you're going to be hitting once you're kind of done pushing the skill in?
Oh yeah, for sure. I'm just gonna be targeting all the high level mobs, just because I personally believe they have the best opportunity of looting twin items.
Yeah,
But if we're talking after one, I'm definitely gonna take a step back from cycling so much and just try to enjoy the game more, so that I don't burn out, because uh, I don't think it's really sustainable to be doing what I'm doing for all year round, like every year.
yeah, for sure.
Um, and I'm gonna be trying to just work on mining and codex, and possibly trying out other weapons. I think the main use of the mod nano is just gonna be for events and stuff like that.
Gotcha. I mean, that makes sense. So you could always just run it, bare bones too, and scale it down a little
Yeah,
bit too. So
the insane part is that I was doing the weapon compares, right, and the mod nano with no enhancers is still like 200 DPS on the wiki
yeah,
compare, which is
it's crazy,
pretty
dude.
insane when you think about it.
Yeah,
Because you're doing the same DPS as some guns that are running 10 enhancers, but you're not paying any of that markup in the
yep,
enhancers.
yep. And the mob turnover that you have too, like the amount of loot instances you can generate on otherwise big mobs that would take other people double or triple the time, you know?
Yeah, yeah. So like when I hear these like stories about like people who've used the mod nano and they've hated it, or they're unhappy with their returns, I'm pretty skeptical, or like I want to find out for myself like how it is.
Yeah. So basically what you're saying is as soon as you sell the mod nano, we know for sure that it's bad.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's either, if I'm selling it, it's either because there's a better gun out there, or it sucks. So
Yeah.
if you see me selling it, make sure to buy it.
I might have to have you on here again for part 2 interview a little bit down the road, so
I mean, yeah. Like, if you think about it, like my mindset of the game has changed so much in the past year that I can't say for sure that I'm gonna be the same person in another year or another 2 years from now. So
oh yeah, for sure, man. Like the goals change, your motivation for, playing changes.
Mhm.
I could get you at Royal Club with Megavolt, sweating, I don't know. So but yeah, man.
yeah,
No telling where the future is gonna take us.
yeah. If you like plan to keep this VOD up for a while, I think I'd be really excited to come back to it later and see like if my thought process has changed at all or stuff like that.
Oh yeah, I don't plan on removing them. So what I did so far with the one that I did with Boo, I just took it and upload it with like no edits to a YouTube channel, and I post the links to the videos in Discord. So
Hmm.
only a person with the link can access the video.
Yeah, I
So
actually I checked out his interview
yeah,
because he mentioned it.
but I
I,
plan on doing the same thing with like the future ones, so including this one.
nice. Yeah, that's good.
But I think it's cool too. Like a lot of people that weren't able to catch me, you know, doing it, that wanted to be part of it. Because like for the longest time, I would not even archive my streams. Like they wouldn't even be available to watch, you know. So,
Uh-huh.
I think starting to archive it in that fashion makes it, you know, brings a lot of value to people that can't make it to the live stream. So,
Yeah, I think like me personally, when I was a new player, I went through a ton of Twitch channels and just watched VODs just to see how the game was back then. And I
right.
think I think that would definitely add a lot of value to your channel if you just had like past videos for people to reference. I think Bonnie does a really good job of
Oh, she does,
archiving
yeah.
her videos just to get an idea of how like past events went or stuff like that. I remember I had a question about the Thars or whatever, the
Yeah.
uh the mobs that I looted the sword off of. I actually asked her, I was like, do you have any VODs of you hunting those mobs? Because I wanted to get an idea of like the spawn density or how much damage they did, just to get an idea of if I need to prepare myself to hunt them. And she pretty much linked me the VOD of her hunting the Thars. So I think it's really awesome when content creators are able to archive their videos for people to watch at a later time. It definitely helps a lot.
Yeah. I don't know. I've always been. I don't want to say self-conscious, but I've always been worried that like I'll say something that would be something that I would want to maybe make a like amend it later, or
Yeah.
maybe the information would be dated at a later time.
Hmm.
So, and then you could be incorrectly labeled as an idiot, you know? So, not that I
Yeah.
care what people think, but, you know,
Yeah. For me, I mean, for me personally, like if people are gonna look back at an old video and see outdated information and label you as an idiot,
yeah.
I think they're dumb enough that like I wouldn't even take their opinion seriously.
Yeah.
So,
So,
but
yeah.
yeah, I can see where you're coming from with that.
I like the whole live environment. Like, I've been very comfortable streaming on Twitch. I've done it for pretty much ever since I've started playing this game.
Uh,
Um, but like I've gone through and wiped it a few times, so there's not like public clips of me back then.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, I remember like the first time I looted a ring, I was on stream and it was like an Athenic ring perfected. That shit was fucking amazing, you know. So there's a lot of good moments like that that I had captured. So I don't know, I might go back to it, but we'll see. Like archiving, I mean.
Yeah, of course.
Like streaming has been something that really enhanced the game for me. Like I remember before I started, I had a handful of friends, and then I started streaming, and then I had like so many pages of friends and just people that I had met through streaming, that I would have never interacted with it like otherwise, you know. So it's
Oh
been
yeah, for
very
sure.
beneficial. So
I think whenever I did stream in the past, for like League of Legends or World of Warcraft and stuff like that, the thing that I really enjoyed was just like talking to the people in chat and just like answering any questions.
yeah,
I, I really enjoyed just helping people out with like any questions they had for me.
yeah, that's been another good one. Is I feel like I don't know everything, and I try to answer as accurately as I can, but I feel like I am more open with information than most other Entropia players, and that's really vital in some instances, you know, and I don't have, or I try not to give incorrect information, you know, so,
Yeah, I would say one of the things that really does annoy me is when people give out information that is like harmful or detrimental.
yeah,
Um, yeah, that's like real fucked up, and that's sort of like what I was referring to when I talked about how because this game is cash based
yeah,
and it really brings out like
the
the
worst in
true
people,
nature. Yeah, not even the worst, like just the true nature of people. Like
yeah,
people are very more revealing when money is involved with like how they actually feel about things, or like the actions they take, like because they're like motivated to make money or some shit like that.
Yeah.
And I mean, I guess I'm really lucky in that um I haven't really gotten involved heavily with these kinds of people, like these
Yeah.
predatory people.
Yeah, I think that's also like one of the hidden perks about kind of keeping to a certain peer group and not getting out there
Yeah.
too much, because like the more that you learn about people, or like people in the game or the game itself, it might ruin it for you. It's kind of like our discussion of like if you would take a job at Mind Art, it could potentially
Uh-huh.
ruin something that you love. So
Yeah.
same way goes with like knowledge about either the game or the people in it. So
Speaking of money ruining things, I had this friend, and I was pretty good friends with him for like years. And when Diablo 3 came out, it had the real money auction, and so basically all the items in that game were worth money.
oh
And
wow.
this dude who I knew for years, I let him borrow a weapon I found that was worth
Oh,
like $40.
okay.
$40. And this dude fucking takes my weapon and just runs off with it. It's some dude I knew for years, and he dropped our friendship over $40.
Damn, bro.
I'm just like, I'm like, bro, was our friendship really worth less than $40?
I mean,
It,
hey, maybe. I don't know. That's.
uh,
It might have been like he was going to like a streak, so like he got every one of his friends with
yeah,
like the same
maybe
amount, and then just like
he was,
dipped out, you know. So
maybe he was just doing a heist.
yeah,
Just
like one wipe, you know, and I'm out. That's
yeah,
crazy, dude.
yeah, but like, I really dislike what money can do to people,
I
and
think that I think like this game has made me more like, I guess, respectful in other games as well. Like there's other games that I play where it's not real money, but like it takes time to grind it, you know.
yeah.
But I am way more cautious and mindful of that stuff, and I'm less. I wouldn't even like. I wouldn't even grief on Minecraft at this point in my life, dude. Like there's just there's just no reason to do it. So that's
I
how kindergarten I've gotten about this shit. But like seriously, there's no way.
I think it's like definitely like a mentality thing that
Yeah,
you just grow out of that sort of stuff because you realize like what's the point in doing that, like griefing people.
yeah. Life's too short to be a dick, man.
Yeah, for sure.
Except in PvP, then it's permitted.
I mean, yeah, because they like sign up for it, but
Yeah,
like outside of that,
yeah. But yeah, Entropian's rule brings up a good point. Think of it this way: it only costed you $40 to get that bad apple out of your off your back. So
oh yeah, for sure. Like it could have been way worse. Like the cap on the real money auction was $250. So yeah, could have lost a lot more money.
yeah. Damn, Monty got scammed out of all of his RuneScape gold at 12 years old. That's harsh, man.
Oh man,
He was
that
he said he was helping him transfer it between two characters. Man, that sucks.
yeah. You definitely if you start playing games at a young age, you definitely run into a lot of these like scam scenarios, and you just have to learn from it, right?
Yeah,
Cause like when we're like young, we're all like naive and trusting of people.
yeah,
Then when you get screwed over multiple times, you sort of just develop a sense of like, can I trust this dude?
yeah,
I oh that's also something that is really great about having a society like Endgame, is that you're able to trust these people with like gear worth like tens of thousands of dollars, right?
oh yeah,
And like the benefit of being able to swap gear is like insane. So like for
yeah,
example, like if you want to like skill melee and a friend has a melee weapon, you don't have to spend like thousands of ped, like renting a gun or even providing collateral in cases.
Yeah.
And one thing that really stood out with this society is that, like, when I was new, I was struggling with killing flesh rippers. Like I was
Yeah.
using either limited armor or Aeon armor, which wasn't super great with uh impact cut stab.
Yeah.
And Lindsay and the society in general like reached out and was willing to let me borrow their supremacy armor with like very limited collateral on my side.
Wow.
And I'm
That's
just thinking in
awesome.
my head like this group is letting a random no-name person borrow a piece, like a set of armor worth like $10,000, right?
Yeah.
And it just like it blew my mind.
Yeah.
So I think that really stood out to me in the beginning. I was like damn, this society is like real cool. Like I want to be part of them one day. And I
Yeah.
mean I wasn't really expecting to even join a society like 'cause I knew how tight knit they were.
Yeah.
So it was definitely surprising when they asked me if I wanted to join, and yeah. Also, speaking of the whole like borrowing gear stuff, right? Um, I actually had a friend that I started playing this game with. Like, it was me and one other friend that I knew from League of Legends,
Yeah.
and there actually could have potentially been like another person in the same exact spot as me, like in terms of like progression, like gear,
Mm-hmm.
like all that stuff. But unfortunately, he had to stop playing the game because he was saving up for a house with his girlfriend.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, I started the game off with another dude who we were both gonna go like super hard into this game. I mean, we like the first month we both purchased LP40 perfecteds,
Oh wow.
like just to give like an idea of like how like committed we were planning to be in
Yeah.
this game.
Yeah.
So I'm really sad that he had to stop playing. I mean, I
Yeah.
understand like he had to save up his money, but
Yeah.
I think it would have been amazing if I had another person in the same exact progression path as me
Yeah.
to like
So close to you.
bounce.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just to like swap weapons, borrow gear, bounce ideas off,
Definitely.
or
You know,
just
be there
like
together to run instances like RDI and stuff. Yeah.
yeah. So I think just like if you are like a new player, just like having someone to be like at a similar spot to you is really awesome.
Yeah. But yeah. I don't know, man. Like I think like I had some friends. Like I mean, Paint Ghost is still here. He's still like a mod, but like we were noobs at the same time. But he's still a noob and I'm not. So it's kind of like awkward now. You know, if we wanted to go out and do the same thing, we can't, or I would have to scale down, you know, substantially. Just to give an example,
Yeah.
I'm not like knocking
Yeah,
on the
for
guy,
sure.
but I mean, you know, do what you want to do in the game. And he's coming back. He just made like an adjusted resto chip. He's gearing out and stuff, but I mean, it's just like thinking back on like the like really tight friends that I had back in the day. Like I don't think any of them still play, man. Like hardly any of them. Besides like a few of the Dirty Dingoes that I was still a part of. You know, like my mentor doesn't play anymore. Like it's kind of sad when you get kind of left by yourself. So.
Oh yeah, for sure. Definitely, I've experienced that with other games. But on the bright side, if my friend ever decides to play again, he is welcome to use any of my gear, and he also has the knowledge that I have because I would be able to guide him on like whatever he wants to do.
Yeah, and
So
that's huge, right? So.
yeah, I think the biggest thing about this game is just knowledge. Because
Definitely,
it's so easy to just throw money at the game and not get it back,
Yeah.
or just like do silly decisions that would like ruin your like potential future.
Yeah, man. No, I agree with that. But like, I've been able to help save some of my friends like that money, you know, and like with the whole skilling and everything, the HPN level and all that kind of stuff, and just like generally just making good recommendations based off of what I've done or what I've learned, you know. So that's massive. But no, I'm actually in the same situation about saving for a house. Me and the wife have been looking for, oh man, pretty much as long as we've been married, if not like 6 months to a year before that. And the market's just crazy. We're coming up on our 2-year anniversary soon, and still in an apartment. But hey, you know, it'll happen when it happens. But I've had to be creative and, you know, sustain myself in the game. In fact, this month I'm celebrating 1 year without depositing. So
oh, nice.
Yeah, it's kind of massive for me. I used to put in like 5K pet a month, man, and just go ham. So, but yeah, I've had to slow down and enjoy the little things. I've kind of stopped to smell the roses more often. I'll go do like a puny hunt. Hell, I'll even go sweat sometimes. You know, fuck it. You know. So.
Yeah, I think that's definitely something I'm lacking currently, is that I don't really have time to actually like sit down and enjoy like Entropia for what it is. And one thing that I'm really looking forward to is just exploring all the planets before they get reworked in Unreal.
Yeah.
Because I mean, like,
time.
Yeah, but also like I've been playing for almost a year now. I've never visited Rocktropia.
Waste of time.
I went. I visited Arcadia for 30 minutes to do an event there. I have no idea what's in Arcadia. I've barely touched Next Island outside of the Moloch instance. Am I missing any other planets? Oh, Tulan or Mondria or whatever. Okay, I don't even know how DSEC, Mondria, Tulan works. Like, there's like 3 different planets or some shit. I was on Tulan for like a day.
Yeah, I think DSEC is like an area on Monria. And then like it's all owned by Virtual Sense though, so they're all under the same umbrella, but they're like 2 different they're 2 different planets. I would say like Monria is the moon to Calypso, and then Tulan is the other planet. So they're 2 different places. And then like the DSEC's kind of like Arcadia Underground, you know, for Arcadia, but for Monria. So.
Yeah, so like when
yeah,
people like
so you didn't even do like all the noob starter mission lines on all the planets?
No.
Dude.
Bro, okay, I hopped in this game, right?
You hit the deposit button, and then you went. No, I'm joking.
Yeah, I mean like I hit shit. What are those bobs called? Oh, I don't even. Let me check my Entropia life real quick.
Like, I'm sorry, I didn't mean for it to come off like that, but it was just like, it was funny. Like, I logged in, hit the deposit button, but like, I mean, that's.
I mean, if we're being honest, that's basically what happened. Like.
I mean, you have to get where you're at. I'm assuming it's safe to say that you're non-deposit or you're depositing. So.
Yeah, so I'm looking at my globals, right? And my first global in this game, I think was like a 2000 multiplier or some shit, because I got a 150 pet on a puny Daikiba or whatever.
Holy, what the fuck?
Yeah. So,
like right there at Icarus or whatever?
Right, yeah,
Jesus,
like in the beginning, so I got 150 pet global on the puny mob. And then after that, I went over to hunt Exarosaurs. And then after Exarosaurs, I hunted Wongtus. So.
And then there you go. That's it. That's like the 3rd mob you've ever touched.
That's the story. Yeah.
That's crazy. That is crazy. Did you even do Did you get your Buchan's rifle?
Nope.
Bro, oh. Man, there's just so much of the content that you're missing. Like, I know that you've made incredible progress, but you've really missed out because you're not a low-level player. So it's almost pointless at this point.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a lot I missed out on. Not gonna lie.
That's wild, man. Fuck.
I mean, like, I don't even know like much about the Planet Partners and even like Calypso. I still have a ton of exploring to do. So like, whenever people try to refer to me as an Uber, I tell them I don't think of myself as an Uber at all. Like, I think I'm still a new player. Like, even though I'm like at the skill level or the progression that I'm currently at, I still have a ton of information to learn about this game.
Yeah, and I think like that's another thing. Like, I've seen other people do kind of a similar thing with you. Like, I know Bale, for example. Bale shot up really quickly. He's like, it wasn't as quick, but it was pretty quick. And he shot up without learning a lot. And kind of like you, he just kind of got into something, stuck to it because it worked, and like, he was ignorant about some things that you could have exploited, which is scary. And because he's such a high level player, you know, people I think like in that position, I'm not talking about him specifically, could be viewed as either a target for someone to exploit, or potentially someone who has knowledge, and they would, like, a new player would go to them for answers, and they're not equipped to answer it, which is scary.
Yeah.
Because I mean,
Yeah,
on
that's
Discord, you
why,
just see the purple tag or whatever for verified Uber, and they're like, oh, that guy must know everything. So
that's also why whenever I do give information out, I always try to stress that it's my opinion, or
Yeah.
it's the information that I've like landed on, and something that I think is true. Like, I always tell people to try and do their own research or figure things out like themselves,
right.
because I do not want to give out wrong information or whatever. But also, speaking of the taking advantage of people thing, yeah, that was one of my biggest worries, was that people were gonna try to exploit the fact that I'm like depositing a ton of money into the game. So
Yeah.
definitely been worry of people like that.
Yeah. Also, sorry everyone that jumped in the Discord. I just now got your roles updated. Angelic Gopher, Razab, and Monty. You guys should have roles now to see stuff. But yeah, I mean, I think like a lot of people are really opinionated, but like you said, it's important to caveat it, you know. So that's like when I talking about the bat sim and like why I thought it was taken away. I was like, this is my thoughts, you know. So
Yeah.
but,
Yeah, of course. Like, it's always important to remember that people are giving their opinions, and those opinions may not always be correct or stuff like that.
Yeah. Dude, why is Boo on Harbinger, man? What the hell? What is he doing?
He's on what now?
He's on Harbinger, like randomly. I thought he finished his codex on those.
Interesting.
Oh well, maybe he'll speak up. Talking about following people around, watching what they're doing, you know.
Yeah.
I just saw him global. What do I think happened with BatSim? I think that the Mindark wasn't making enough profit off of it, so they canned it. And also the market was kind of being cornered by the same guy who just kept winning the jackpot, so.
I remember reading some drama about people who were accusing him of cheating, like saying that it wasn't like physically possible for him to get the times that he was getting. What do you think about that?
I see Booty Cheeks running around out here. Haven't seen Booty in a while. So I talked with him actually, so I have a little bit of extra insight. He's a pretty interesting guy. Let me get the rolls for Bonsai real quick, 1 sec. He's a pretty interesting guy, but like he basically claimed that he would just rerun it until he basically got the RNG where none of the small bots spawned in that would slow him down, like give him the debuff. But honestly, dude, if you just beelined your ass through there to just run through, it was tight, but it was possible.
Yeah.
I never watched him do it. I talked to him after it had been removed because obviously he wasn't going to give away the secret sauce. But the dude would run hundreds of bat sims, like just to get that RNG to roll, and then you would have to perform when you got it, right? So you've constantly got to be on. So it's not like you could just passively do it. Like the dude earned the money, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But
So you think it's legit, right?
I think it was legit. Just from that interaction. I have no proof though. But I would say that you would probably need to be more I guess the burden of proof comes upon the accusator, in my opinion.
Yeah,
So
I think it's really interesting how, like, in some people's perspectives, like, they could label someone as like 100% being a cheater, saying stuff like it's not like humanly possible or within the game's like engine to be able to like
oh yeah,
perform these kind of things. But then like when you actually see the person like doing it, like you like instantly change your mind. Like when you realize like how much like time, effort they're putting into it and like the
yeah,
precision of like how they do it. Um, it really is interesting how people's perspectives can change so quickly on these kind of things.
yeah, exactly. I've had similar situations with accusations of using aim assist or something, or like anything to do with, trigger bots or whatever in PvP. I mean, it's not
Yeah.
uncommon, because if you can shoot the side of a barn, you can PvP in Entropia. I mean, some of the people that PvP in this game they move around like bots. Like I'm talking like NPCs. So it's like not hard to hit people, but I digress.
Mhm.
But yeah, I mean, like, it's easy just to shout and be like, ah, that guy's cheating. So
Yeah, for sure.
I've been caught up in that before too, because like I'll hear someone say like, oh, that guy's a cheater, and like they don't have any proof, but because I'm friends with that guy who said that, now I probably think that, oh, now you're a cheater. So now I've got that unconscious bias to deal with. So
Yeah, for sure.
yeah, Hoobler, you're out. I'm sorry, bro. Hoobler was in the same stock with me for a while, and we did PvP together. He's pretty good.
Yeah, I talked to Hoob. Hoob's a good guy.
Yeah, Hoob's a really good guy. I spent a little bit of time in Defiance with him too after they split off. So, good group of guys. I just gave Milky some free damage there. Not paying attention.
So it's getting kind of late over here. So I'll probably stick around for like 5 more minutes
Oh,
and probably
yeah.
get dinner afterwards.
Well, hey man, it was nice. Nice to get to know you a little bit, man. I don't even think like it wasn't even an issue. Like sometimes I feel like sometimes I don't get along too well. Or like I was really worried going into this. Like, is it gonna be hard to talk to? So I'm
Yeah,
really happy.
yeah,
Man.
of course.
It was a real pleasure talking to you, man. Like I'm being genuine.
Oh yeah, same
So,
here, man. It's
yeah,
definitely been fun talking to you and also being able to, like just be more interactive with the community.
yeah, man.
'Cause I'm sure like a lot of people had like this like perception of like how I was as a person before even talking to me. I think that's like pretty common.
Yeah,
But yeah, definitely had a blast. Just I mean it's been 4 hours and I feel like it's only been like an hour or less. To be
nice,
honest,
man.
like
Yeah.
that's crazy that it's been 4 hours.
Yeah, I put down like a few questions just to get it going, but like sometimes I just write down like 5 questions, or something. So I was very
Mhm.
relieved that I didn't have to, just have those awkward silences. So you made my job
Oh
easy,
yeah.
so I appreciate it, man. And you've been, like I said, a pleasure to get to know, and you were very requested. So again, I can't thank you enough. And hopefully now you can put at rest a few more of those rumors going around about you being on alt or something. So, or like a Mindark employee. So.
Speaking of those rumors, like I don't know if it happened recently, but like in the same day, I had 3 people accuse me of being Captain Jack's alt, which is hilarious.
Jesus, man.
Yeah, I don't know if it's just like people gossiping in like a Discord or something
Yeah,
about it, but like I think they're actually like convinced that I'm Captain Jack's alt.
yeah. I mean, it's not uncommon to see some of these higher level accounts having a wife account, right? And I've talked
Oh
about
yeah,
this
for
before.
sure.
Like I think everyone knows people out there with one. I don't have to go naming names, but
Uh-huh.
yeah, it's
Yeah,
kind of
even like
suspicious.
even like the mothership services, a lot of people will have their wives like doing the transports for them.
Yeah,
And I mean, I'm not saying like their wives don't exist, but
Yeah.
it's pretty common. Makes you kind of question. But
Yeah.
yeah, like just like speaking on the whole like being an alt thing, like I don't think if I was making an alt, right? I don't think I would have handled it the way I did, where I'm making a huge like hunting thread and basically being as publicly visible as possible, right? I think if I was making an alt, I kind of want to keep it on the down
Like
low.
under wraps. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but maybe I'm just some kind of genius where you guys are
Reverse
so
psychology.
convinced that yeah, you guys are so convinced right now that I'm not an alt, but like in reality I'm actually an alt. So you know
I'm using a voice
that's
changer.
where
You know everything. So.
right. Like I think Captain Jack used to stream in the past too. So I mean maybe we're the same person, but it's just I have a voice changer on. I'm completely different personality, but I trained for this situation, and yeah, good stuff.
That's awesome, man. But yeah, it was awesome, man. I really like I said, really appreciate the time. And if you, like again, if you need some tech support, you know who to reach out to now, right? So.
Oh yeah, definitely, man. I'm definitely gonna remember to reach out to you because I hate having to deal with these issues.
Yeah, man. All good. All good.
Worst.
But keep in touch, man, and don't be a stranger. If you need anything, just let us know. And the Discord community here is kind of growing, so a lot of these people are good people too. So, yeah, man.
Oh yeah, for sure. Well, it was nice meeting you, and also nice talking with chat and all that stuff. But
Awesome.
I'm gonna head out now.
All right, man. Have a good evening.
All right, see ya, man.
See ya.